I will answer whatever question you have. You're going to understand before I answer any of the questions. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to make that very clear. It seems to be working okay.
Yeah, this is just what I've done.
But I don't know. I am not your advisor.
Yeah, I really want an objective now. You know, I want to be beaten or beat somebody, you know? Like
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that says about me, but
if I could have 1 week of the energy that he has, I could not imagine how much I would
he's
get
always
done.
just so pumped.
Holy dude, if you ever get the opportunity to make Greg, meet Greg. If you take any advice as far as tracing the content route, how much of your creativity are you willing to give up for views? Think about that.
Ooh, man.
See how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy.
Welcome back to the #1 Drift Podcast on YouTube. My name is Dawson, and today we have...
Wes Cloud.
Oh, yeah. Actually, no shout outs or anything today. All I'm going to say is hit the subscribe button below if it's still red. Click it, hit the bell notification so you're always updated. But I did want to say, all I'm going to ask is that you go down in the comments, leave some type of feedback, whether it was something you liked, disliked from 2024, anything you want to see new, any specific guests you want to see, blah, 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 new type of content, whatever. Just do me that. And that's all I'll ask for this episode. But, yeah. Friendly face for the New Year's episode. Sorry, I should have mentioned that already. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year, everybody.
It's 2025 already.
Hard to believe.
So we're starting the year off with a friendly face. You've been on, I think we were just talking about this, like 4 times?
Yeah, technically the 4th. This is my 3rd by myself. But I came with Josh and Shorky from FabMech, so that's 4. I actually can't believe that. Like it's cool to see how much this room has changed and how much the podcast has grown, and the fact you do your greatest hits episode. I guess they probably already have seen that now. They're watching this one. So,
the one after that. So.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see that personally.
Let me know how that was.
Yeah.
If you like the greatest hits, if I should do that every year. If not, tell me. Well, I'm just going to, out of the gate, what was like the biggest lesson you learned from 2024?
Man, that's pretty easy. I think 2024, for a lot of reasons, for a lot of people, was kind of a year of maybe budgets getting smaller.
Yeah.
I know that hit me personally for sure.
We voted accordingly.
Just all of the... there's a lot of stuff going on in like my day job world in that industry that really changed the way I get paid, how I get paid, whatever. And there was just a lot of uncertainty about like, okay, you know, how's the race budget look, you know? And we have great partners, great sponsors where the actual the season cost is really pretty much covered. But things like, you know, trying to build new cars and add on to the, you know, infrastructure of what we've got, that kind of stuff has to sort of take a back seat sometimes. So I learned a lot about streamlining expenses and making sure that I still got to the track when I needed to, but maybe not having certain things like, you know, I don't have my whole new C6 done like I thought I would.
Right.
I decided to sort of take a step back from that in favor of maintaining a full season.
I was wondering how that was actually going to go.
Yeah, I'm back on track now to where I feel comfortable kind of taking that build forward, but it felt smarter to me to, you know, not put thousands and thousands of dollars toward that I could sort of just hold on to make sure for sure I'm going to be at the track this season, next season, whatever. You know, I don't want to lose out on the seat time in the name of building a fancy new car. But that's probably my biggest takeaway is just, you know, there was a lot of things that I learned that I could remove just to make the bottom line a lot smaller at the end of the year. And I actually even ended up not competing in LS Fest this year. I calculated out like how much that weekend costs by itself. It's like that particular event necessitates a lot of.
Didn't you still go though?
No, I didn't even go. It worked out to where in place of that, my wife and I went on a small vacation because I was actually
cool.
I was actually like really, really sad about it, and she had just happened to find this like random online deal, so she booked it. It just all came together where if I'd been home just sitting there wishing I was at LS Fest, it would have been a bad time. But
right.
I mean, I still, believe me, I thought about it a lot. I had like the worst FOMO because I've been like every year at least been there for a long time now.
Yeah.
And but it was a lot smarter. Thousands of dollars saved in 7 or 8 people in an Airbnb that weekend in Bowling Green, Kentucky it's a very expensive Airbnb. So that by itself, we didn't have that expense. 30 tires, 36 tires, whatever, that expense for that weekend was gone. Just a lot of stuff. And, we usually travel and do all that same stuff for any other event, but we had already sort of, already done the Pro-Am, already done everything that I felt like was going to benefit getting, to the next level. Obviously, LS Fest is really good for exposure and letting partners know that you're doing things in the eyes of people. But we just made the decision to skip that this year. So just goes back to, again, just streamlining. I believe that it's smarter to do that and still be there for the Pro-Am and the important stuff than it is to, okay, well, let's just spend all the money and then maybe make it halfway through a season and not really. Because I'm never going to go broke to drift. Like to a point, everybody goes broke drifting, but like I'm not going to be able
just a cunt hair close.
Yeah, I'll get right there on the edge. But no, I don't want to ever be, impacting mine and my wife's lifestyle just so I can chase my dream. That's a very selfish thing to do. But anyway, it was a good year. I mean, we learned a lot. Still had a lot of good times. Met some really great new people. Every year we have new members to our family. It feels like, because you meet people from way far away. I got to meet and become really good friends, I think, with Jerry Johnson all the way from Utah, the one with the NASCAR swapped FRS, the RP 570, RPD 5. I don't know, the Dodge NASCAR.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He's a cool guy. I think he and his now fiance, they just got engaged a couple days ago.
Shit.
Yeah, just an absolute
Congrats,
ripper. I think he actually got his pro spec license, so you'll see him next year. Yeah. But just, a lot of cool people like that, and through my Canadian friends, Josh and Andrew Shorkey and all the Fab Mac Industries guys. And, we get to see each other at PRI and things like that through the year. And now Liam from Canada, as well, as I consider him a good friend. He and his girl Liv, they're awesome people. Just, and drifting always brings cool people around. It's a lot of fun. But I'm really looking forward to next year, because I did put the budget kind of back in a better place, and I kind of know what's happening now in my day job industry, to where there's stability enough to where I'm like, all right, cool, we're gonna build that car, we're still, everything's cool. Nobody needs to panic. We're still going racing next year. So, and that was never really a question, I guess, but it was just a question of like, do we do another kind of streamlined budget season, or can we kind of go fully into it, which this year I'm hoping to do the Pro-Am and the new Clutch Kickers series down at Mid Pond, because it's easily close enough to make. I know some of those dates are definitely going to conflict. I just know it, because that's how that works. And I've already seen the Clutch Kickers dates, and I know, based on what I know about the Pro-Am series, that there's at least one or two that are going to conflict. So I probably won't be able to do all of Clutch Kickers, but I definitely will do all of Pro-Am, and then whatever of Clutch Kickers it fits in.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's so close. It's so convenient. It's so nice. I mean, I was not gonna. It's where it was in like Bradenton or whatever. It's a pretty long haul.
Oh yeah. I do believe that Mid Pond is going to be a good equalizer track for that series as well. I just hope that it gets ran correctly.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes into running those events that as drivers and as spectators and as people is like involved in the industry, if you will, we kind of have everybody has different views on that, and it is important that it's run correctly. It was
just so special the way it was
ran,
and just the equalizer aspect of it, not just the track, but the ruling and everything. It made a dude with a 350Z very capable of competing.
Yeah,
I hope that's a cage or anything.
Yeah, I really hope that's the way that it continues. From the look of the rule book, I think it seems to be very minimal cage requirements. I think there are cage requirements, or at least
it was just the 350Z though. That's such a strong chassis that they didn't care about that one having. Didn't care, but
I don't know about that though. Even though like it may be a strong chassis or whatever, you still have people that
I agree.
end up putting harness bars in it and stuff, and then you just have an unsafe situation. You shouldn't have a harness bar in an uncaged car. It's just not. Anyway, but that is part of running it well. Making those common sense allowances to let somebody maybe get into the sport that doesn't have the perfect, structure on their fuel cell or something like that.
How much was your budget if you had to estimate it for the entire of 2024?
I planned for about 40 grand for my season for Pro-Am and stuff.
Yeah.
That was really, I mean, that's really all that includes. Anything outside of Pro-Am was not really included in that budget. Cause that's, we actually were a good bit under that. I think.
Really?
Yeah. We, there were a couple Pro-Am rounds that were wet. So we didn't go through it saved a few $1,000s in tires that weekend. Because it was 2 rounds in one weekend, and it was completely wet one day, pretty wet the other day. So the tire consumption was just gone, and
That's good.
Yeah, it was just that alone. It was just a blessing to the budget. But we had a few, just miscellaneous things that had to be done with the car in the off season that ate up a lot of budget, and the travel was particularly expensive in Bristol this year for whatever reason. Just the lodging was particularly expensive.
Damn.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird little stuff. Yeah, different economic factors were, I'm sure, at play and different things. But that was part of the whole thing is the reality of the economy in our sport, and the tire cost, the fuel cost, everything was just so much more. So it
Before we get into the rest of that conversation, I wanted to drop in and let you guys know that the new Grassroots Hero hats are on the 144 Racing's website. Nice surf cap with the rope on the front. They're like a almost dry fit material, so they're really comfortable, especially wearing them all day at the track and stuff. So if you're interested, grab one of those off the website. Grab a shirt as well if you haven't already. And let me know, would you want to see these hats in black or even possibly blue? I'm really digging the blue one. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to hold up any more of your time. If you want to grab some, they are on 144 Racing. Go check them out in the description. Other than that, let's get back to the podcast. What tires were you running?
we were required to run the GT radial the same as Pro Spec.
Well, I assume you would be running them out of Pro Spec or Pro-Am too.
Yeah, it just became
became
a consistency thing at that point where it's
just so they know what cost we're looking at.
The GT radial SX2 RS 255 35 18 from Tire Stacks World Race Treads. Man, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard to get used to. Race treads. Sorry, Frank. Race treads.
It screws me up too.
It's just I've just known them as that for too long.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for tires, racetreads.com.
I am glad they switched it though, because it doesn't seem the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of has that same style of name for tire
I get what you mean.
So,
yeah.
Good job.
But it's just a fantastic company, and dealing directly with Frank over the years, and they work with our Pro-Am series, and any tire I could get through them I'd be happy with, because it'll be a consistent availability and good pricing and all that stuff. But as long as Pro-Am's going to require me to run that tire, that's just what I'll use. There's no point in trying to bounce between setups and stuff, because everything's different. You change your tire, then everything is wrong, at least for
That is true, yeah.
So and we finally found, I think, a good setup, something I'm really actually happy with. And it took kind of halfway through this season to really land there, but rounds 3 and 4 were really good and just showed promise. And what we've been trying to get out of my car, and kind of some mistakes that were made in weight management, basically, is all that it came down to. I moved some weight around, and all of a sudden I have a rocket ship where before it's got all the power, makes a bunch of noise, a bunch of smoke, but it didn't really go anywhere, as far as how fast drift cars.
Yeah, I brought my car over to do some work while you were in the middle of ironing out all the weight distribution stuff. So I do want to talk about that in a minute, because I have a lot of questions for that. But before that, you mentioned streamlining a lot of your program and just drifting in general. Obviously, to someone just getting started or someone that just has no idea about running a program, they wouldn't even know what you mean. So what exactly are you streamlining in your drift program?
We made sure that every dollar being spent was the most intelligent way to spend it, and the way that we did that was kind of just to pull back just ever so slightly on little things that added up to a pretty good amount. Like, instead of, my wife is kind of the track chef. I call her chef wife, but we take a Blackstone and take all kinds of food and stuff. And so maybe instead of just
Gourmet.
yeah, just kind of scale it back a little bit. Where like we're still feeding me and the crew like really good, healthy, like protein rich food.
Yeah.
So like everybody's on their game, but we're not like overspending on like certain brand names and stuff. We're like, I'm like kind of bougie about food personally. Like I really like good food and like I like to cook and I like so like when we would go food shopping, that would always be an area where I was just like
Usually about his beer too.
I was just like, the budget doesn't really exist for that. We're just gonna get good food. Like so, so that was a really easy area to save a bunch of money on.
Right.
And lodging too, like that was really easy to save a few $100 a weekend because I've kind of been on the side of the comfort level being better than maybe just worrying about the budget, just because so like you have a really hard weekend and you work really hard, you want everybody to sleep good,
Right.
and that's actually backfired a few times. We've had some really bad experiences with Airbnbs, but just being careful about lodging costs. But even though it was higher this year, especially for there's these condos in Bristol that we like, they're directly across the street from the track, you can see
cool.
the track.
Nice.
But it's just little things that add up to a big thing. You can't really use less tires, you can't really use less fuel, but you can be intelligent about not buying a bunch of extra stuff. That's one thing too. I didn't buy as many spares. Like I could have put myself in a bad situation by doing that, but it was an easy way to add money back into the season budget, just in case something comes up where I need.
What were some of those parts that you decided to exclude?
I didn't buy I was gonna have a whole new every part of an FDF angle kit in the trailer. I wanted to have literally an entire different angle kit that I could just throw on an entire corner with a knuckle and everything.
Yeah, like
already
set.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Ultimately ended up just kind of getting a couple arms that I thought were the most likely to go. It didn't get it. I thought like, well, I'm probably not going to break a knuckle. And as soon as I said that, I expected to break a knuckle, but I didn't. Yeah. So it's, but I'm not.
I did too. So like,
yeah,
it did its job exactly.
Yeah,
like it been exactly how it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So I applaud you, Josiah, for that.
Yeah. So that and I wanted to buy an extra set of axles just because with the quick change, I'm not really making enough power to even stress those axles. I don't think. I think they're like 2,000 horsepower axles or something silly like that. Yeah.
Where are they from?
They came from RTS. They're
cool.
the RTS axles for the winners.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're larger spline count, so I have to use the C6 ZR1 rear hubs and all that and stuff.
Okay.
They're beefy, so I don't really worry about breaking one. It's more of like if I hit the wall on the rear, I might like bend it or something. Yeah. But I just didn't do that because it's like $3,300, $3,400 for a set of axles. True. Wild. Yeah, just race car stuff's expensive.
Damn.
Race car stuff's expensive. Yeah.
Z axles are pretty strong.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't buy a bunch of new gear sets, which in hindsight I'm glad I didn't, because I actually didn't need any other than what I already had. Yeah. I got to the point
relatively similar.
Yeah, it didn't really change that much. It just kind of have some higher wheel speed gears and some lower wheel speed gears, and each one of those there's a high and a low ratio for each gear set that you get, other than like a 412. I think a 412 is just a 412. I think there's a few like that, but if you have different tooth count top and bottom gear, you can always switch them.
Right.
So we ended up with I've got, I think it's like a total of like 12 gear ratios available, which is like plenty. Damn. Yeah, it's way more than plenty. I just kind of was thinking more back to like super late model dirt car thinking about how like gear ratios work with just like a like a high low range transmission that just goes in circles. Yeah. It's just like a different way, which like now I'm just calculating what's my 1-to-1 gear wheel speed, fourth gear, what's it get me. Yeah, I think just anytime you start to think more about a budget, you just naturally make decisions a little bit differently, like even if you're not intending to. So I think there's probably a lot of stuff that I did that saved me some money here and there, just because I spent the whole year thinking like, do I really need that? Is that a necessary thing? Am I just buying this case of VP cool down because I kind of want it? Like, I'm not going to need to refill my radiator 14 times this year. It's just kind of stuff like that. Whereas I've kind of just kept the shelves stocked with whatever, so I just kind of grab it as I go. But now I just kind of bought things as needed. That's a good, easy way like to distill that thought. Is I just bought things as needed. Not
obviously I'm not running a race program or anything, but I've always preferred to do it that way so I can keep track of it better.
Yeah, I feel like I think there's certain times though where just in the name of like getting things done quickly, it's really nice because, I live 15 or 20 minutes from an O'Reilly's or whatever, just to keep certain
That's
things,
true.
certain things on the shelf that are commonly used, because I'm changing tons of oil, changing tons of, just fluids in general. And
Common consumables.
yeah, just
like
all
I totally
the consumables.
get that,
Yeah, I would stock up on that stuff. Just like try to buy everything I was going to use for the full season at the beginning of the year, just so it's like in a cabinet somewhere and I don't even have to think about it.
Now, I will say having a barrel of fuel and oil just sitting on the shelf, especially just for the race car, for the truck, I don't care. I can just go to the store and get that. But that is an absolute blessing because everything's fucking last minute on a drift car. So I'm day before an event doing an oil change,
That's that specific thing that you just mentioned is like one of my last things that I gotta like figure out for my program, because I am still last minute trying to get some fuel, like night before we roll out, like, oh crap, I gotta go find ethanol. It's just I do need barrels of
Renegade
good,
ships
reliable.
right to your door.
Yeah,
up to one full barrel. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna go to Renegade because it's not far
Yeah,
away.
it's literally in
and
Kentucky.
I'll just save money on shipping and get more than one barrel.
Yeah.
I talked to them at PRI, and they're some cool people, and they have some really great products. So I look forward to trying to work that into my program a little bit more, because just to have a reliable,
That's awesome.
reliable fuel source.
Let me know what you think about it too.
Yeah,
after you try it.
Well, I'm particularly excited for it for the new car that I am kind of now back on track to actually put together, because you can't build an engine like that and not run like race fuel in it. You can't be using pump ethanol in a race car engine. It's just not acceptable. I want that to live as long as possible, and just any kind of little contaminant or ethanol content being wrong or whatever. That's just not.
I'm gonna probably go to E85 this year too. So
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about all that stuff now.
Yeah,
Which
it's
obviously my setup's so much more simpler, but
I would contend that your setup
keep
is actually more difficult now than it was when I owned it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I would also contend that
I do forget all the time that you were the one that owned that.
Yeah, I know.
It slips my mind all the time.
But I would also say that your current setup is probably more complicated than my LS with just a supercharger on it. No, you don't think so?
Absolutely not.
I don't know. You've had a lot more problems.
For my fuck ups, everything that I did shitty building it. No, that's what everyone says about an LS, and it's like, if you look at just the front of an LS with all of the accessory drive, everything attached to it, and then you look at mine, it's way less shit. I will never understand.
It seems like
how
it's
people
the
are like
exact same
it's more
amount.
complicated.
It's like the exact. You have a power steering pump, a water pump, an alternator, a crank pulley. Like what else? What else do I have that you don't?
Well, you have the supercharger on top,
That's
so that's
one
adding
pulley.
extra shit, which
It doesn't even add a
adds
belt.
more stress to it as well. I assume. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not
I did do
very
a.
well educated on superchargers, but
I did like a dump truck tensioner. So like that's been kind of
Yeah.
the answer, where I don't have any belt issues. I don't have any. It didn't add a belt. It didn't like it really. I'm telling you, it really truly doesn't complicate things at all. That's why I like it so much. For me, that's why I just prefer that way. I've had both types.
there's
of
so many more. Well, on top of like there being extra cylinders, so there's more of everything.
Yeah.
And then an LS usually, I feel like, has more electronics and just nonsense to deal with in that aspect.
I don't really think so.
For me,
I'm just trying to
I hate wiring.
I'm trying to think of like what it would even have that the RB doesn't have. Like I don't think there's anything. It's actually really straightforward. Like the more I've learned about it.
Yeah, they're definitely straightforward. It's just
don't think
it's more moving pieces.
Well, there's
so it's
two
gonna be
more injector connectors. There's two
tighter,
more.
less
Like I guess there's
space.
two more of everything, because there's 8 cylinders instead of 6. If that's what you're thinking of, but like I don't know. There's really nothing extra. Like if you know how to work on one, you can do the other.
No, I know, but it's just always the fact that
I think it just looks.
everyone says
bigger.
it's simpler, but for one, it's bigger, so it's going to be more complicated to work on. There's extra of everything, so everything that you have to do takes longer usually because it's extra. Everything's like readily available on the RB, especially in my chassis. It's like everything's easy to get to. So that's what I think about whenever I say, or whenever people say less complicated or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
I
think
get
of it
that
like
LSs are simpler. There's more info and there's more whatever on it, but
I don't even think that. I think it's like literal, like actual working on it's easier because like you don't have like with a
there's no way.
you don't have to worry about like with twin overhead cams. You have so much extra stuff with a valve train to worry about. Like a LS is cam and block. You have push rods. You have lifters. You don't have any valve lash to adjust. You don't have any. You just put your rockers in and tighten them down. Like it's so.
Yeah, but I'm not doing rocker stuff
Well, you might
at the
be at the
moment.
track though. Is the thing
at
is
some
like
point maybe
like
but-
serviceability at the track is all I'm talking about. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a lot quick, like, and it's chain driven instead of belt driven for the
I
timing.
could get to the cams way faster than on an LS. You're
Well,
gonna have
yeah,
to do
you're-
it twice.
you're
On
not
an
gonna be
LS.
changing
Well,
your
I guess you don't
cam.
have cams up top on
Yeah,
an LS,
no,
but
just-
whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not really so much about changing the cam. It's just like general like valve train serviceability and like refreshing the engine, doing valve springs and stuff every season, and just pop the valve cover off and you don't have to set things like setting valve lash and getting timing right with dual cams and stuff. It's just different. I think
Yeah,
it's harder.
it's
I've done
tedious
both. I just think it's harder. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not even like a LS fanboy.
I
or
love
anything.
that.
Just
I
like-
love that conversation though.
Yeah.
So because I'm not the LS guy, but everyone that is LS will always like they'll shove it down your throat that it's simpler, it's easier, and I physically can't agree with that.
I don't know.
Just the way it all is. So
My experience has been a lot easier.
Dump it in the comments. What do you think? Because I'm curious even more.
I think like in the scale of difficulty, you have like OEM BMW 4 cylinders. That's like to me like one of the
Right.
most annoying and hard, like all these hoses and wires and stuff. I'm sure somebody else out there thinks that's the easiest thing if you're like a BMW guy, but like you have like all these
Yeah, because they're technically it's like LSs. They're Legos too.
yeah,
but,
like you have all
there's
these
so much extra
different
shit.
pieces and parts and stuff, and like you get to kind of, and maybe people talk about that in terms of like OEM stuff, but like especially for LS platform, you really can simplify like the stuff that's there, like and kind of
And maybe that's another thing. I
get rid
did
of-
simplify it a lot more than what you had
Yeah.
as well. So like injectors, I have a radium fuel rail on it
Yeah.
now, and it's all top feed injectors. Everything's just way simpler now.
Yeah, and you make things visible, and you remove systems that are not in use because it's a race
Useless
car.
hoses
Yeah,
go into random
yeah,
places.
you'd be amazed. Like I during that whole weight management thing, I removed 92 pounds of just wiring and stuff that was from like the factory body control module that was not in use, and the ABS system in the engine bay with this big electronic block and stuff, and just like ran all new brake lines that completely deleted the ABS with a proportioning valve, and just all that kind of stuff just pares down what's actually in the engine bay to the point like even you as like a non-LS person, I guarantee you could open my engine bay and just look at something and like follow a wire and know exactly what everything is.
Oh, right.
Like
Yeah,
everything is really visible and accessible, and like you can do that with I guess any engine, but I don't know. I guess there's just so many facets of what's the best engine to work on? Like
That's the beauty of it.
It's what you know how
Love
to
it.
work on. The answer to that is what the best engine to work on is what
That
you know
is-
how to work on.
That
Like,
was something else I was going to mention. I've always been around Nissan,
Yeah.
so like majority of Nissan stuff I'm just familiar with. An LS I've worked on in the most minor capacity possible. Obviously, I've been around people that are like tearing apart a full LS and like putting it together, and I'm watching, but I'm not
yeah.
participating or anything because I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I've
I
seen
just
people
wanted
do
to
it
know
plenty
that
times,
kind of
but-
stuff. Like I've now assembled a few. My wife got me the shirt for Christmas. Still plays with blocks.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. This is so off topic, but those little model engines that are like,
Aren't they so
dude,
cool?
that are like $500-$600.
Yeah.
I want one so fucking bad just to mess with in my free time. But I'm not paying that much for
No,
one. That's
they
insane.
have I think it's Toyan. They're these little like V8 and V12
Yeah.
that actually run.
Yeah,
Those
dude,
are thousands.
yeah.
Of them. I want one of those too, though. It's so cool. But yeah, man, why did I even mention
I don't know.
the block thing? What was I? Man, that's
Building
bad.
LSs.
Well,
but
yeah. No, I've built a few bare, engines from bare blocks, like, done all of the rod and bearing and everything. And like after doing that, it is so just kind of like second nature to do simple service work and whatever I'm
Right.
using. And I'm sure, if I built a RB or a JZ or a whatever block from a
Yeah, you would
yeah.
develop the second nature
yeah,
there too.
yeah. And I probably would like to expand my I guess, knowledge on that stuff. I know how to work on Cummins. Like I have a Cummins diesel in my truck, and I can work
That's
on
good.
that.
I don't have the first fucking clue, so you got a one up on me on that one.
It's all pretty. It's actually all really straightforward. It's a straight six. You know, it's not.
Yeah,
not
I assume
difficult.
it is, but you look at it and you see all the hard lines going everywhere for one.
Yeah, there's just, like
It's
the high pressure
like-
fuel
looks like
pump and
spaghetti
the
noodles.
different hydraulics and air system and all this stuff that you have to
Yeah.
like figure out. But that all is everything. I think like working on anything is actually really straightforward. You just have to put in the effort to sort of learn the fundamental steps of whatever that is. You know,
Yeah,
if
I've
it's-
always said if you have the ability to learn the basics of anything, you can easily learn all of it.
Yeah, I think
It's just
every
a
platform has
domino
its
effect
set
at
of
that
basics.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, like you just learn those and then build on that.
Mechanical thinking.
Yeah.
That's what, or at least what I say.
Yeah, well, and some people don't have that, is what I've learned. Like some people, it's not a deficiency on their part. It's just like the way that their brain works doesn't really, promote learning that stuff as easily. Some people really can't learn the basics of each platform and build on it kind of thing. They really just need like start to finish instructions on each like task.
It's so
And
wild.
yeah, I mean,
too.
it's interesting. It's like, it's not a deficiency on those people, and those people end up usually being really good at other things. But I just happen to have that type of brain where it's like once I've done something, I just kind of understand it from then on. And I think if you put any amount of
If I
time,
cared.
yeah, well,
understand
unfortunately, it happens to me whether I care or not. I will.
You lucky bastard.
I will remember it,
If
and
I don't
it's
give a
like
shit, I will
just
forget
a bunch
every
of
bit of
clutter in there. But I
it.
think
Book of useless information.
Oh, anybody that knows me well would tell you that. Like, anybody
Love
would
it.
tell you that. Yeah, I got all kinds of fun, useless facts, but they add up to like, something
Right.
useful sometimes. But no, I just get really interested in everything that I do. I get so immersed in learning about.
It's good though.
Yeah,
It's very good.
But I just have fun with it.
Well, let's talk about the weight distribution stuff.
Oh,
How
yes.
much did the ratio actually turn out to be?
I changed the ratio. Let me see. Let me make sure I tell you this correctly because it was way off. I had so much more. Had way too much weight in the front. There's the supercharger up front. There's the still the radiators up front. The battery was still in the factory location in the engine bay just because that was easiest to pass tech and it was there and it fits well because it's what GM designed.
Right.
I think it was like 60% front weight or something like that. Or no, it was like 62. I think it was like 60. Yeah, I think it was like 62. And Josiah from FDF told me I needed to get down closer to like 52 or something like that. I think
Really?
yeah. And I was like, ooh, okay, well, let's.
How do we fuck?
Yeah, because I cut the rear of the frame off pretty close up to the subframe just because it had gotten crunched in New Jersey pretty bad. They're like
Right.
the factory crash bar. I had hit the back of that car like 5 times on different walls. 4 times.
That track's not forgiving.
4 times at Jersey the same weekend, and then another time at Beach Bend. I
Outer
think
2? Is it outer zone 2?
yeah, at Jersey. Yeah, the one that everyone hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a bad weekend. I mean, it was a good weekend, but that was a bad time. So I cut off so much of the frame and made this sort of skeleton structure just to fit the rear quarters and the bumper and everything, make it legal.
Right.
And then just in doing that, I removed so much weight from the rear and added none back. And, and actually I kind of added weight to the front because I went to a bigger power steering cooler and a bigger oil cooler.
Jesus, yeah.
And just all
You
this,
screwed yourself
all
there.
this stuff. And I just didn't think about those little things. It's kind of like the budget, like the little things adding up to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I fixed it too, was little things adding up to a lot. Like I took the window glass out. I moved the battery to the back. I used lead ballast blocks up to the Formula Drift allowed 50 pounds on the frame rails. Like,
Crazy.
yeah, like I put it on, actual car scales. So I have corner weights and I can adjust. And I was just, for like days, I had it just I'd sit it on the scales and just like put things in,
Oh yeah.
in places.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I walked in that one day,
Yeah.
you were running your battery cables and trying to figure
Yeah.
out the specific route to
Yeah.
run them just so that the weight of the wire was
Yeah, 'cause
correct.
it's
I was like, bro,
thick.
what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, if you're gonna do it, you may as well do it right. It's really thick
True,
and
I
heavy
was just,
cable.
like,
It added up to
dumbfounded.
some pounds. Like it actually made a difference. And like, okay, if I put it on this side versus this side, because once I
Yeah.
get in the car, then I really offset the weight. So I may as well put it. it sounds dumb talking about it, but it made such a difference. Like it shocked me. I was so mad at myself for just, I try to think through all these different little things about running this program and trying to be the best that we can, even though there's always been something that, that I just didn't have right. In that case, it was just, I just didn't think about it. You know, I had the spring preload set and the dampening set to what felt like it was as good as it could get. And then I realized, like, I did all this stuff. I had to take so much grip back out of the car, like in the form of like changing the suspension setting, because I put all this weight how it was supposed to be, and then I had to run like 10 pounds higher in the rear tires of air because it was just like bogging, because it all of a sudden had all this grip. And I made changes to the alignment too. It's towed in 1.5 inches now in the rear, and it's just like, it's
1.5 inches.
Yeah, towed in 1.5 inches.
That's normal for Corvettes?
Apparently.
Oh my God.
You should see it. It's funny.
That's insane.
Yeah, because when you squat, it toes out. So like it's towed in 1.5 inches and 1.5 degrees of positive camber. So like it squats, it's got really good tire patch, thanks to FDF and their adjustable rear upper control arms. It's the only way you can achieve correct alignment in a vet, to have that. Like before I had the upper arms, like I don't think you can even get the toe past like 1.25 inches or something like that. Maybe not even that much. Damn. Because the factory toe gain mount is just like it's like a tie rod in the rear, basically, that adjusts your toe for a vet. And there's just only so much it has. So you put the FDF toe gain mounts and the FDF rear upper control arms that are adjustable, and you can get some crazy grip out of that car. But otherwise, because it toes out under compression, it's hard to actually get much with the factory suspension components. They just don't allow enough compensation to where you have to push it past what would be right to where once it squats, it is right. But I did that, and it just turned it into a rocket ship. It made me feel like, okay, this is a race car like this. Yeah. And so like, if you're thinking, why is my car slow? You know, I make 800 horsepower or whatever. Look at your,
I was about to ask, when is the line, now that you've done it, like when is the line to where you should probably start thinking about doing that?
I think realistically, as soon as you start competing. Like if you take it seriously, like if you take it really seriously, no matter what power level you've got, you can dial your chassis to get it really good. I think no matter what, like,
so impressive what the Corvettes can do.
It is,
although like you couldn't get the exact specs from factory, like it's still they're incredible.
It's a great platform that allows you to get good results. You know, I'm sure probably from a strictly scientific or objective standpoint, there's probably better. Like I think some of the BMW chassis with their trailing arm suspension, I think they're better. Right, but I think Cash set it up when he was on here. Like, I just have to like the car that I'm driving. When I look at the car, I have to be stoked about it. And I'm not a BMW guy. Like, I know they work really well, and I've actually driven a few of them. When I look at it, I don't get excited, no matter what model it is. Like, it's freaking, I don't know. But in stark contrast to that, ever since I knew what a car was, Corvettes have been like, wow, that's cool.
Too harsh. Because good God,
they can come after me if they want to. I don't know. I mean,
did you see all the crybabies about the black wheels on the last decent reel?
Everyone always cries about black wheels, though. That's not a new
thing.
I get it.
I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah, I don't have black wheels, but I don't think it's as bad as some people make. Like, I totally get it from
no. And I do not give a flying fuck what you run on your car. I'm just specifying what I do and don't like.
I get it from a competitive standpoint that like you do kind of sort of would rather have the wheel be more visible to like see where a handbrake grab may have happened, like in a non-decel zone or something like that. But that, that comes down to the judges have eyes, it doesn't require the wheel to be. That's like the only argument I've ever heard where I'm like, okay.
I agree with that.
But
the argument that I always get, though, is that it hides brake dust and easier to keep clean. It's like, just tell me you don't take care of the shit you spend your money on.
I mean, like, if you're worried about brake dust on a real drift car, though, like, come
that's atrocious.
You're gonna damage that wheel.
Don't be a bitch. Just fucking clean your shit.
Well, if you're driving like you should, like that wheel's gonna get bashed up by someone else's wheel or someone else's car or like whatever. Yeah, clean your wheels. Just clean your wheels. It's easy. Yeah. Did you know the Sprayway glass cleaner is fantastic for just keeping wheels clean at the track? It's just the best thing. Just
Yeah. Usually that's what I'll bring is just glass cleaner and maybe some spray
You
wax.
clean the whole car with glass cleaner.
Yeah.
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 You just clean what I do is clean the windows, and then each panel around the windows, you use the excess and just kind of wipe it a little bit.
That's
So,
actually,
because I'm not spraying, glass cleaner directly on the paint.
I don't spray it on the paint. I do spray it like wherever I have the metallic gold wrap. It's like mirror finish kind of, and like if I don't spray it directly on it, it won't get clean. If I just use the towel method or whatever, for some reason all these streaks, but I don't know. I should get a sponsorship from Sprayway. I clean everything with that stuff at the track. Like clean the trailer countertops, clean the whole car, clean my face shield with my helmet.
Yeah. So I use it all the time. Let me get a display.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. Damn, what? Hold on. Wait, where were we? What were we talking about?
Well, we were I don't know. You can't ask me to keep track of these things.
Well, we were talking about weight distribution.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know how
yeah.
the fuck
We
got there.
Man, I don't even know. But we were talking about how like I think you can tune any chassis to be optimal, and like that's one of those things where like I wanted to know about that, so I learned a whole lot about it, like the weight moving around and what you can do as far as like not just corner balancing, but like actually changing front to rear distribution. It makes such a difference in drifting. It's like you put some weight over the tires that you're asking to do this job, they can do it better. It's kind of common sense when you think about it, but I think it's a really easy way without really spending any money to get a lot more performance out of your car. It was for me anyway.
Good. Yeah. Good. Well, with you mentioning that you essentially just cut the whole rear out.
Yeah.
I noticed that you dealt with a lot of smoke in the cabin. I know that's very common on vets whenever you do cut all that out. So obviously you throw a firewall in. Was it relatively easy to put a firewall in a vet?
No, I mean, not the way I did it. I mean, it probably could have been easy
Bravo.
to do. I bought a sheet of 1/8 inch aluminum and used CAD, in this case, cardboard assisted design.
Oh yeah, because you got the plasma.
Yeah, now, like I could have made this so much better now that I have a CNC controlled plasma table, which we can talk about more with my hanger. But I just did it all by I made cardboard template panels. I made it in 3 panels. I wanted 2 sides and a center because I wanted the center section to have a window that I could see out the back through my normal rearview mirror, because that's the worst if you can't back up. So I traced out on cardboard and just started, cutting little by little with like scissors and a razor knife to get these cardboard panels to what I thought would be like, if I like cut this and it wasn't a jagged edge on a piece of metal, that would probably fit correctly, like. So I traced, I have
eyeball and everything, baby.
No, I didn't eyeball anything. I mean, I did. I like looked at it and cut it to make it fit. But
Sounds like eyeballing.
After I had like a rough template though, I traced it on the entire sheet and kept changing it to where it was symmetrical. So like I just like, I realized, okay, so this line runs here. If I was to make this the same on both sides and move this point by like 1/8 of an inch or something, it makes a good radius. So I did stuff like that, and then I cut it all out with a Milwaukee M12 nibbler, which is the greatest thing in the world to cut sheet metal. It just like it goes right through it.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh man, it's a beast. It actually will scare you. I need to let you try. Man, it'll actually scare you because you're used to like using a grinder or something, and you're like for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This thing's through the entire sheet before you actually know like what happened, and so you have to like really be careful with it. But so I cut out rough like on the outside of the lines that I had made, so I had extra material and just started shaving it down until it like fit like really tight. And then I put the rubber edge trim around it and neoprene tape between the panels and riveted it all together. Put riv nuts in the kind of the factory tub, like kind of there's like a hump behind your seats in a Corvette that's like metal. It's where the crossover tube is for the 2 sides of the fuel tank. So I just put riv nuts in the back of that piece of metal, and so it actually has the same body bolts with the purple and gold washers as my overfenders do. So it actually looked, and I
cool.
hydro dipped the metal. Hydro dipped the metal to look like lightning bolts. They're like really dark purple lightning bolts. It was just some cool film I found at this place in Laverne that just has it in stock.
What?
Yeah, there's
That's cool.
It's called Powder by the Pound. Their website is Powder by the Pound. I don't think they even advertise the hydrographic stuff on their website, but they're a huge warehouse in Laverne, and they have powder coating powder of like every single color that exists. And
Hydro dipping's really cool if you've never heard of it.
It's terrible.
Look up
though.
some. It's a process.
It's absolutely terrible.
That's why it's so expensive to get done.
It gets
but
all over.
Look it up
everything.
if you've never seen it.
It is a cool process. You should look it up and just don't try it
After
It's
the
not-
podcast.
It's not worth it. But anyway, so I made it look as cool as I could, and it works exceptionally well. And it's amazing how before I had that firewall, there was nothing between the exhaust and me or the tire smoke and me whatsoever. And I have like the in-ear communication that are like earplugs also, and it was still almost too loud. Like with the when it really got like into the drift RPM range, like the frequency and it's just straight 3-inch back exhaust, and it was just so ridiculously loud. And I'm not sensitive to loud things at all, but it was like. I had a few people get in there and tell me that was like the loudest.
That's loud
thing.
no matter what.
It would like actually hurt you.
Sensitivity level you have.
Yeah, like it would actually like hurt. You could feel pain in your ears. It was not good. But putting that wall up, it's great. It's like a Sunday drive with my in-ear communications in now. Like I actually don't really. It's like where it was like. Bah!
Yeah.
It's really nice. So I would highly recommend doing that.
And it doesn't like cause any effects of when you're tandeming. Like you can still hear your car okay.
Yeah, like I don't know.
I'm sure there's some cars that you probably can't. But
I don't know if anybody else understands even what I'm talking about here, but like as I've started like driving with radios in and stuff all the time, I actually drive more not from the sound of the car, but from the vibration. I can feel the RPMs a lot better than I could ever hear it. So I don't really pay attention. Like if it starts to lug a little bit, I can feel it in my seat, and if it's right on song where it needs to be, I can also feel it in my seat. So like I've just kind of developed to where like sound, I don't really need sound at all, like at all. Yeah, because like at first when I first started using in-ears like religiously, at least every time I was in a competition, it was kind of odd because I was used to like that extra type of feedback. Kind of like when you first start driving on a driving sim, you don't have the G-force, your body doesn't feel the movement, so you lose kind of it's just off. It's pieces of information that your brain is processing to tell your body how to drive, and you lose some of those pieces of information, so you either have to learn how to work without them or find ways to supplement it. So like in that case, it's okay, I still have all these vibrations that tells me exactly where the engine is. And I noticed like I can feel individual hundreds of RPM difference for sure. Like for sure, it's just there. And like you can feel it in the pedal, you can feel it in the wheel, you can feel it in your seat once you learn how to like look for what that feeling is. So
now you have a sim, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, then does that not make practicing on the sim a little counterproductive, given that you're not going to have that vibrational feel in the sim?
Well,
you would almost kind of want to replicate it, right?
Yes, but no. I sort of still do have that vibration. I have my force feedback setting in my steering wheel to where I have a pretty good amount of that, and I really don't use much sound in the sim. Like it's turned down really low.
Okay.
So I am still kind of driving off of vibration. Like there's a lot less of it. I don't get it through my feet, and I don't get it through my shifter, and I don't get it through the but I still do get most of it through the.
Because as far as like vibrational feel, I pay attention to that a lot more in my feet. And, well, obviously my seat.
Yeah,
too.
the seat and the feet
both
is
you're not going to get really unless you have a big baller motion sim or whatever. But
I don't have one of
who
those.
the fuck's got that?
Not me. No, but I just changed my force feedback wheel settings to where to me, I mean, it's good enough. And I don't look for it. I don't look to a sim to be this perfect representation of driving. Like
No,
never. It's just like let me understand the layout of this track before I go there for the first time kind of thing. It's more of a because and
that's why I got this one. This shitty Logitech. I got one finally. Peer pressure's a fucking bitch.
I didn't
finally
even notice.
got one.
Yeah,
it's just like attached to my desk right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eventually put it out there where that little chair is.
Yeah.
In the corner, but
yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you do
assholes.
You do definitely learn things just inherently from repetition of anything. Like even though it's not necessarily a perfect representation of reality, if you're gonna practice tandeming and getting really close to somebody and kind of getting used to like
really all I've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get used to like, okay, what does handbrake do versus left foot brake versus like just stomp on the brakes real quick. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do.
You can try it without fucking your shit up.
There's a bunch of different stuff you can do, and I think it's just such a great way. That's a really great way to lower costs if you can set up your sim well enough to where you don't have to do as many. There's nothing that replaces in-person seat time, but like if you have the money to make it to your competitions, but that if you did like 3 or 4 practice days and you run through so much tire budget, you may not be able to finish the season. you can offset some of that with sim time, you know, if you do it right. But it's definitely not a replacement by any means. But it's a really good. It's cool how far the technology's come. Like a few years ago,
Oh, it's incredible.
A few years ago, you could kind of laugh at it. You know, it's like why would you want to buy one of
the
the, you know?
Lamborghini wheels and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah. Wasn't it Thrustmaster that did those?
Yeah, the Ferrari and Lamborghini. I don't know about the Lamborghini. I know they definitely did the Ferrari, but
That's what it was.
yeah. It's come so far, like everything else, and it's definitely a valid tool. Mine's kind of not really in a great shape right now. My computer, the PC that I'm running on, I have a little kind of cheap gaming PC. Not really cheap, but not a good gaming.
Is with some minor
Yeah,
upgrades.
yeah, because
like
that's all
RAM
I
and
bought it
shit.
for. I don't play video games. Like, I just don't play video games. So I just needed something to run Assetto Corsa, and I was told that would do it. And it does. It just, after a while, recently, I think it's some updates, just like it just kind of crashes and everything shuts down. Literally just shuts down. Somebody that knows more about computers, if you know, hit me up. Come on over. We'll figure it
I know
out.
a couple people, so I could probably
Because I'm
get
not
in
that
contact with them.
That's
but-
funny. Like, I'm just so not that guy. Like, I know I can build an engine, but I can't fix a PC. Apparently, I don't know. I tried.
I built. Well, not that one. The one I used to have, I built all myself.
Yeah.
But
I could put one
PCs
together.
are different. I
Yeah.
still don't like the specs and everything. I don't quite understand fully. Like that used to be my old work PC. Like, but a hard drive went bad on it, and I just tossed it in the closet and didn't touch it. Got a proper laptop that I could work on the go. So when the peer pressure finally set in, and I decided I yanked that thing out of the closet and just threw a new hard drive in it, and it worked great now. Wiped it clean, so it's literally just Assetto on it.
Yeah, that's the same thing with my computer. That's why it's kind of confusing me. Like, there's only Content Manager and Steam VR and whatever, and that's all there is. But anyway, I like sim stuff. It's just, you know, nothing replaces reality.
That is true.
Nothing at all.
Can't get the same dopamine rush.
That's for sure, man.
Speaking of like dopamine rush, I'm sure it felt really good to get that livery done on your car.
Yes.
Tell me about the livery. Obviously, you've told me before, but for the viewers, like where did it come from? Where did the concept idea start? You know, who designed it, so on and so forth.
The idea came from, I just, you know, I really like tattoo art. Like, I really like it. Like, whether it's on me or on somebody else, whatever. It's just like a really well done tattoo art. The way it's applied is so difficult, and to get that really amazing result is true talent. So I wanted to bring that to a drift car, because, you know, like everybody, not to talk bad about it, like I kind of had one of them too. Like, everybody has one of those same 10 or 12
JDM tribal
wraps.
style.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of tribal stuff
I get
with
it.
some sponsored decals, and like that after a while, it goes back to like not why I don't want to drive a BMW. I got to like the car that I'm driving. And once I started like realizing, man, I really do look like every other car.
I hate that it is overused without purpose.
Yeah.
It's still such a great look.
It is a
but
great
it's
look.
so overused
Yeah,
for the wrong
I
reason.
just wanted to be a little different, and I thought, well, that should be pretty easy to do if this idea works out. So I hit up my tattoo artist, Pat Bennett, who owns Red Nimbus Tattoo Club in Murfreesboro. They just moved over to the Murfreesboro Square, new location, really nice. But they have I mean it's
cool.
it's a really cool place. And they just, all of their artists are unbelievable. But Pat, the owner, he's done everything on me. Well, not everything, but everything that's really visible and everything that everybody gives me compliments on. So I hit him up. I was like, hey, can we just take what you did on my left arm? Because he designed this whole left arm sleeve as like a one-shot deal. Can we put that on a race car? Like, I don't know how we're going to get that there, but I talked to him. I talked to Barry Clapp of Graphic Effects. Shout out Barry. Great vinyl application for race cars, for commercial vehicles, anything that needs a vinyl wrap, basically. My wife's Mercedes has a color change vinyl wrap from him. Like, is it everything? But he has these huge, large format printers that he can print whatever on vinyl. So I talked to him, like, okay, I'm gonna have Pat draw this design. Can we print this on vinyl and get it on the car? He was all for it immediately. So Pat gets on his iPad and starts basically drawing it, like tattooing my car. I bought these vector blueprints of a Corvette, of a C5 Corvette, where it shows the dimensions of the door panel and the whatever, like everything is a dimension. So he put that into his drawing program and literally drew me on the car. And so we printed that, and Jimmy and Micah over at Graphic Effects are just kind of wizards with the vinyl placement and stretching and stuff. And so like they were laying pieces, and we got to a section where like just the way that the car bends and the way that the drawing worked, because the drawing had to be printed as a flat piece, not as a 3D design. So we stretched it out into a flat thing. It just didn't quite lay right. So Pat's over here at the wrap shop, completely like he was off that day. He was not at the tattoo shop. Came over with his iPad and was like looking at the car and like drawing a filler section to like give more of these clouds and wind bars and stuff to like fill up the hatch, because the hatch was just not, it was like folding over and it was just not meeting in the center of the hatch. So we like drew in all these filler sections and all this stuff, and we just slowly made it happen, and it turned out like way better than I could have imagined.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
It's obviously like not my style.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
It's probably not a lot of
I
people's
can respect
style.
it because, dude, it really does look good. It fits what you're going for too.
Yeah.
I totally get that, and it's like the vibrant colors turned out so well, which especially being on printed vinyl, and then like we talked about with Mike from Design Shop's episode, like you can't really stretch printed vinyl.
Yeah, and then it's
like,
ruined.
Once you do, it distorts the color.
Yeah,
distorts
you get
the
these
image,
little
and it's-
spider cracks through the, like, especially the pink. It's not pink. It's like, I don't know, pink, purple, whatever. That was really bad, but it was like if you moved it just a little bit, all of a sudden you had this like in it. And it's unusable.
It's crazy.
At least if you want it to look a certain way. But I was really, really pleased. Those limitations that I thought existed, and like, well, is this really going to pop? If it's printed vinyl, you know, like whatever. Is it going to be little pixelated in certain areas? But it's just not. It's just, it's perfect. I was so happy with it. But I have a video somewhere. I might send it to you. I don't know if you want to put it in here. Of like, my wife saw it for the first time and she started crying.
I saw that on
Yeah. Like but it really is like when you see it in person, or when you saw it in person for the first time, it to me, truthfully, like, I am obviously very biased, but it's the coolest car I've ever seen. I swear, like, cooler than any kind of anything. It was just, to me, it was so exactly like customized to how I wanted it. It was like every little kid energy in me playing with Hot Wheels cars was just like, oh my god.
You can make some random thought, like a concept, and like make it happen, but it takes a lot more to make that thought actually work right.
Yeah.
And have that stylistic, not just look to it, but like kind of a character storytelling to it. Like it's not just a stupid design. Like there's actually, you just had a whole story behind what the livery. That's what I'm talking about when we talk about liveries need to be earned, not the fact of sponsors. God, y'all roasted the fuck out of us for that. I said sponsor logos look good on a livery. I think a livery looks off without sponsor logos. Like there's just missing empty space. Yeah. So people took that way off.
I don't know. I kind of I get what you're saying. I agree with that.
There should be meaning behind a livery. You shouldn't just throw some random. You shouldn't pull an image off of Google, throw that on your car, and say that you like have this amazing livery. Like there's no story.
There's a lot of cool,
just like tattoos, man.
Right. It doesn't have to be even complex. It doesn't have to be like a crazy design. It just has to, like, I think if you're personalizing your car, it should be personalized. Like, it shouldn't just be a copy paste, which is what I kind of got tired of. Like mine didn't look like anyone else's car, but you could definitely pick out elements of like this tribal thing. And that little piece of the design is definitely on everyone's car at the track. You know, it's definitely somewhere in everybody's wrap. And I just got really tired of that. And I was like, no one else, no matter what they do, no one's going to make my tattoos on their car.
True.
No one, why would they? Unless they just like are a really big fan of me, you know, like, you know, I don't think I'm at that level.
You just got that tree tattoo on your wrist.
Yeah, those what is it? The freaking like 3 or 4 trees with the little wolves or bears or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, you probably see some of those, but
sorry if you have that.
It's nothing against you.
You probably already know though.
Somebody else has already said it.
Yeah. We can't be the first one.
Yeah, we're not. But I'm not like this, oh, look at me. I really just, it was for me, you know, it was for me to really be stoked on how my car looked. And I am. I like so much so that no, I don't know. I don't actually want to tell anybody. I have this really,
damn it, I was about to ask, is that the concept you're going with this year?
No, well, okay, I'll tell you that. I am going to keep that basic look. That I'm not going to change the base layer. I'm going to keep all that look. I have a couple sponsor decals that are moving in and moving out or whatever, and changing around and like just moving the placement really more than anything. But I'm not actually. Nobody's coming off of the car. I'm just moving things around, and as of right this moment, there's not really anything locked in that's new, so I don't have to change a whole bunch.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. But I'm working on a idea. I'm getting a new suit and new this and that.
So
And
I was gonna bring up next.
yeah, I've got some ideas. I'm working on that, but I don't want to say anything about it until I know it's going to work. Because as of
That's fair.
I
That's fair.
talked to.
Well, we went up actually after the fact because he wanted to go look at some suit
Yeah.
options and stuff too. So we went up to them and he got sized and stuff
Yeah.
just to go ahead and see what measurements he needed. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
I'm not gonna lie.
So you remember what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
you explain
Yeah,
it. You
we
explain
went to several. I went to several suit companies at PRI and just kind of like, here's my idea. Can we do this? And almost everybody just said no. Like they're like, no, we just can't do that.
That's stupid.
Well, not even that. Just they were telling me all these different limitations in their manufacturing process, and this one company that I talked to just didn't have those limitations for some reason. So I was like,
Italy.
Italy,
Fucking Italy. That's
really
why.
expensive Italy. But if it yields the result I'm looking for, it'll be worth every
Yeah.
bit. But that is something I certainly wouldn't have done in a streamlined budget season. You know, I wouldn't have gone and gotten a ridiculous suit. I mean, I need one. Like I have to get one now because mine is. I don't think mine's necessarily out of date, but it's just like it's kind of old. You know, it's just
Right,
it's
right.
just not. It doesn't look as good as the car. It doesn't look as good as my helmet. It doesn't look as
Absolutely,
it's not. I'm trying to have a professional organization here. It matters.
Well, did you mention like what the actual process difference is?
I don't. That's the
You
thing.
don't have to give up
Well,
the
yeah.
design.
So the difference with them was they were actually able to print on the fabric, like actually have print, as opposed to like cutting things out or embroidering or
So, like, what
or
you
heat.
see on
Yeah,
shirts,
like or
like, you
heat
can-
transfer. Yeah, and it. I guess in my mind, I was initially thinking it would be done on heat transfer vinyl type thing, but it would be so like this shirt like has like it makes like noise. you
Yeah,
know?
that's like vinyl. This
Yeah.
would be more sublimation almost.
It's sublimation print. Yeah,
This
it's
is
sublimation print and
Kind of. This is like almost 3 layers of sublimation.
yeah.
So it's really thick. It feels like that,
Yeah.
but it is sublimation.
But there's stuff like it just kind of is in the fabric. You don't really feel it.
Right.
It's just really nice. Like especially like this stuff makes you so hot at the track, like it where you can't breathe through the shirt or whatever. But so they just have that different process that they're apparently I guess the only one. Like it seems like that would be maybe there's somebody else out there, but I didn't see any at the show.
I would expect it to be more common.
Yeah, I'd say it probably will be because it just
I feel like in Japan it is because I've seen some pretty cool
Yeah.
suits out in Japan.
And I've seen really cool suits all the way back to like, I don't know if you even remember the Turismo Drift series here in Tennessee, way back when the Tennessee National Guard was
the one that
sponsoring a car.
Mahimi was running.
Yeah, the Tennessee National Guard was sponsoring a car, and they had a really cool printed suit like that with like a war scene, you know, like
Yeah.
they typically do on.
Well, there was this one dude that had it was at Cletus's, what was it, the Ranger,
The
race
Freedom
or one of the
500 or
van
yeah,
races or one of those that he does, and his race suit was printed. It was the whole thing was printed. So like what would look like the vest part, because you have that little like shoulder wing thing
Yeah,
or whatever it is, so it makes it look like a vest, was like a leather, what is it called, like a leather vest for like a cowboy would wear or whatever. Like it was essentially like a cowboy suit,
That's
and
funny.
it was all printed.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's got to be fucking possible.
Yeah. I just had trouble. I know like the printing is possible. I think what I was asking for is a little beyond like. It's just unique, kind of like the
It's
car
probably
situation.
a secondary thing where you could buy a blank and then go get it done or
Yeah,
something.
I don't know, but anyway,
Maybe.
that's figured out. That'll happen. Hopefully
really
next time
cool.
I'm on here, I can have that work out.
Right.
I really hope that works out. I hope it looks as cool as I think it does. Like if it doesn't look like I want it to, it'll suck. Like it won't. If it doesn't turn out perfect, it won't look good at all. You know, it's just
True. Very true.
Anyway,
Well, I hope it does.
Yeah.
It'll be really cool. I'm sorry he won't tell you, but
I got to
out
know if
the
it's
way,
gonna work.
Go
or not.
follow him. It'll
Yeah.
be you'll
Yeah,
see
at
it.
Cloud Motorsports. You will see it. I promise. I will show that off if it
Yeah.
works. It is so cool if it works.
Absolutely. Well, something that could benefit off of that to not just you, but everyone, the little hanger thing that you have
Yeah.
designed. Again, that day when you were working on your car, you were also messing with this little concept. And it was really cool to see. Although I don't have a race suit, nor do I really need one
Yeah.
at the moment, but I could totally see this being very needed among not just drifters,
Yeah.
but a lot
No,
of
anybody that
motorsports,
needs
or just anyone that wears a fire suit.
a fire suit and a Hans system. That's the big thing, or any type of head and neck restraint system. Because like
Yeah.
you can hang a fire suit on whatever, but I just kept breaking all like the heavy duty hangers and the bending the wire hangers, and then you still don't have anywhere to
What's
put
the most expensive hanger you bought for?
What is the most? I bought a.
It's got to be a stupid price.
Let's see. I bought a. No, it wasn't that terrible. It just didn't work. That's the thing. Is like the best hangers I could find didn't work. Like they worked for a while, but then
Yeah, but how much was that one hanger?
probably
That's
like
what I want to know.
I think it was like $50. It was like a scuba diving hanger.
Wild. For
Yeah, but I was
I
trying
assume
to.
it looks like
It was
stout
Yeah,
and
it looked
stuff,
really
but,
stout. It was like injection, like really thick plastic.
$50
But
for a hanger.
it just like by the time you try to hang, like your suit gets heavier as it gets soaking wet after a hot day, and you want to put the head and neck restraint system and the helmet and gloves and sort of everything like in one package. You just try to hang it off of the hanger in different places, and like you're going down the road and bouncing in the trailer, and it just like always breaks the like hanger part off of the hanger. It just breaks off, and it just no matter what, it just like that is
zip tie it.
yeah, it's like that's like the weak point of every freaking hanger. I swear I even broke a wooden hanger. Just as stupid as like trying to like grab it and pull it off of like the closet in the trailer. Like if you sort of grab it by the suit and it gets hung at all, it's already got enough weight on it. You just snap it. It just breaks. Should I go get it?
I was just about to say, let's take a second, go grab it so
Yeah.
we can physically show it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we could throw B-roll of it.
Yeah,
But it's better that way. Well, he got it.
Yeah.
We're back.
All right.
We have the example, but he brought like everything so you could actually see.
Yeah, I
what's
just
going
grabbed it
on.
out of my trailer. I'm gonna hold it in front of the camera. So it holds head and neck restraint system and your suit, and inside your suit it holds your arm restraints, your fireproof socks. Your gloves would be kind of wrapped up in the arm restraints, but mine are actually in my helmet bag right now. But anyway, it holds everything, and it has a lot more rings if you want to like clip a helmet holder on front of this or whatever. But with the head and neck restraint system in place, it can't, like, it acts as a clip. Like, it can't fall off in your trailer. So, it's like, it's 3/16 steel. It's really strong. You can hang from it. I'm going to take it out of the suit so you can kind of see
Now,
it.
you originally had this in like whenever I came over, it was a 3D printed, essentially.
yeah.
I don't think you had a full metal one yet.
No,
or it wasn't powdered or something.
And I thought I was going to make them 3D printed with like a carbon fiber nylon filament. That just ultimately, like, the speed of 3D printing sucks, and the actual, like, the strength of this compared to the very best 3D printing that I could do, like, you cannot compare. I can literally, like, this is like hundreds of pound load capacity, and it's powder coated, and it just looks nice. It feels nice. It looks nice. Everything's like, it's actually really pretty light. Like, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks like this crazy large thing, but it's really not that heavy, and it holds everything. And I've used it all season. I kind of made several refinements to like remove some mass in certain areas and make different changes, like adding the ability to like clip other things onto it or whatever. But from 3D printing to this version, I think there's like 7 different iterations. But this is like the final, like, I'm selling this version, and then one, like, if you don't need a head and neck restraint system, like some people just don't wear them, you can still hold your suit and everything else. You just don't need these arms. So it makes like this hanger section shorter. But there's still a few little clip points where like they have these Velcro things that like go through the face mask of your helmet, basically, so you can clip it on here, and then your helmet just sits on top of your helmet just sits on your Hanser system that. So like, and I can adapt
Actually, I've seen that.
Yeah, I can adapt the height. So like if you have the Simpson hybrid or anything that's not this Hans, like they all have different collar heights and stuff. All I have to know is your collar height, and I can make the stem of the hanger fit it. So it's been like, it changed my like safety gear storage life, like, because I really was breaking a lot of hangers. I don't know if it's just me being clumsy, but like I did this test video. I never actually posted it because it was so dumb, but like I put all of this like on a normal hanger, and like literally as soon as I picked it up, it broke. And like it's a normal hanger, but like there's heavy duty hangers, and you shake it around a little bit like it would be in a trailer, it breaks. So this won't break. Like, this won't break.
I think a lot of people are just probably not as neat and nice to their stuff as you.
But this sure does keep it nice.
I know a lot of
neat.
people that just throw their shit in a box.
And
like,
but your suit just gets so like smelly, and
it's
nice to be able to have that, like, I I can hang my suit with like the zipper undone just somewhere at the track and not like. I broke a bunch of hangers at the track. Like I would hang my suit up on the canopy or something to dry between rounds, and it would just, I would go, someone would bump into it or, you know, whatever, and just break the hanger. And there's another one. Like it kind of became a joke, like with my wife and I, like how many hangers we're gonna break this week. And like I would literally take extra.
Just go to Walmart.
Maybe
and
nobody
grab a
else has
stack
this
of
problem.
them.
Maybe I've designed this for nothing, but at least a couple people have bought one and think it's a pretty cool idea. So
Yeah.
so if you want one, hit me up on Instagram. That's kind of how I've been dealing with it still. Is like the paying all the fees to have someone like host a website and stuff for like, I'm not trying to sell hundreds of thousands of these things. You know, I'm just not worth it.
Yeah.
But I have the file to make like all kinds of different ones of these things. I can actually make them to hold like plate carriers.
Well,
like
if you want, maybe we can throw like a Grassroots Hero logo on it, and we can throw it
probably do
on the 144 merch stuff.
Yeah, we could
and
probably do
sell
that.
them way
There's
too.
all,
So
I can put
I'm
logos.
sure it's just changing out like the center bolt or something.
Yeah, like
lightning bolt.
I have my lightning bolt because I'm calling it the lightning hanger, and like my everything to do with me is like clouds and lightning bolts and stuff. Like my Cloud Motorsports logo is like a cloud with a lightning bolt, and I'm using actually the same cloud part of the logo and called it Thunder Metal Fab is the company that these are made under. But
Awesome.
yeah, so that was just a fun. I'd say fun. It wasn't really that fun actually. It was actually really a difficult project because I had to first teach myself how to do like I did it all in Fusion 360. I had to first teach myself how to work a CAD program and design something in 3D so where I could 3D print the prototype. Then I had to teach myself how to use a 3D printer because I'd never done that before. And that comes with its own set of challenges. Anybody that's ever done anything with 3D printing can tell you
Never tried it.
It's actually quite difficult. At least when you have I bought a printer that's not like a really beginner friendly print. It had to be big to be able to print something this size.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was just like it put me in this category of printers where it's like, okay, good luck. You know, like here you go, 0 instructions, 0 help. So everything was a YouTube video and just self-taught. And then after I figured all that out well enough to have at least programs, I realized I wanted to make it out of metal. And then I started realizing, well, it's going to cost so much to like have that done. Well, because I still wasn't sure about the actual final design. So like, okay, go to this company that cuts stuff and have them cut me one of. Yeah. They're not, you know, that cost is ridiculous because they're cuts out of entire sheets and like they usually price things on like sheet cost and whatever. So like to have one test product done became impossible. So I just kind of made this investment in a CNC controlled plasma table that I can make all of my own stuff, and I have made
it for way more than that.
Man, I have made so much stuff. But there again, that was something else I had to learn because I already knew how to run Fusion, but that's not anything to do with the plasma table. That side of things is not CAD, that's CAM, computer assisted manufacturing. So then there's a whole different thing you have to learn. It's still in the Fusion program, but you have to make the 2D designs into cut paths for the machine to follow. And just so I taught myself all this stuff over however long and slowly assembled all the equipment because like even just setting up the plasma table, like that's something that people don't really tell you a bunch about. I didn't buy like one of the big expensive fancy ones or anything. I bought the Langmuir Systems Crossfire XR. It's a 4-foot by 8-foot cut path or cut table, and so I can cut a full size sheet. But it's you know, you buy the table and you think, okay, I'm done. Well, no, you actually aren't because you need an air compressor that can support feeding enough volume of air at enough PSI for the plasma cutter to actually do its plasma jet. Yeah. Then you have to have air dryers and you have to like, there's just all these things that are just, it's like building a race car. It's like it'll $100 you to death, but now I have it all set up and I know how to run it really well. So I can make anything.
You're way more efficient now.
Oh my God, I made so much cool stuff. I think one day I tried to make a O2, or no, it was a wastegate extension on your exhaust or something. I just cut out a
yeah.
It didn't even end up working out, I don't think, or did it?
I think we ended up using that.
Oh, okay, well that's good
because it was just because we cut it out. We had to anyways.
Yeah, but just it's amazing how many weird little one-off things. I made my wife a bird feeder rod for Christmas. And I designed it all in CAD and cut out the pieces. It actually looks really great, but just little random stuff like that. But
we'll get some use out of it.
Yeah,
I gotta remake some of my brackets and stuff for the radiator and shit.
That's some other cool stuff I've been making. I have, and if anybody wants any of this stuff as well, I will obviously sell it too. I won't just sell these hangers. I made these weld-on tabs for a roll cage to hold your fire suppression nozzles. Like,
oh, nice. Yeah.
like it's actually really nice, and weld-on steering wheel hangers, anything for 1.5-inch cage diameter. I have a cup holder I designed. I have a radio box I designed, like all kinds of stuff that can go on 1.5-inch tube that I can just zap out on the plasma table.
Nice. You should make a steering wheel hook for non-cage cars.
A steering wheel hook for well, that's easy. I mean,
Yeah, just a bolt.
just two sides of the bolt. But yeah, I see what you mean. Without a cage, it wouldn't be two sides of the bolt. It'd be like a bracket, like there's no cage bar for it to clamp around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You would just have to have a little flat
that's
platform
easily
with a
doable.
hole through it, so you could just bolt.
It's easily doable.
They can
That's-
figure out.
That's really easily doable.
Or
yeah.
self-tapper the fucking thing in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always I'd much rather have somewhere to put. Obviously, I don't have a cage yet, so like I'd rather have somewhere to hang it rather than just throwing it on my dash all the time.
Yeah, like I was hanging it like on my shifter and on the. I actually have the factory handbrake in place just for parking the car.
Nice.
So I'd like pull it up and hang it on that for a while. It's just but having that has kind of taught me a bunch of different little things about working with metal and working with plasma cutting systems, whatever. It's all it's another one of those things where like I want to know about it, so I dove really far into it, and now like I feel like I could probably teach a class on how to do CAD design to a very very low level, but it's still I can have an idea now and put it into digital form and get it cut out of metal within like a day, and it really
cool.
really changes a lot of things. So if you're thinking about it,
Yeah.
buy one. Really, I mean, it's
Do
just.
you have a website for that right now?
No, I sort of have one built, but it's not out there.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was having trouble figuring out like the payment processing and the shipping, and that's why I said like if you want one, just hit me up on Instagram, because it's for the volume that I'm trying to do. Like I'm not really trying to make
It's
this
not
like,
worth all of that nonsense.
No, I'm not really trying to make it a business yet, unless it like necessitates itself to be a business. Like
Right.
if enough people want one, sure, I'll put it in the work to bring that to fruition, because that's how stuff like that works. But as of right now, it's just a cool like. My goal was to basically make the machine pay for itself, be good supplemental income. Just whatever. I cut a sign the other day for a guy that makes Superior smokers. He's putting up this gigantic, like 4-foot by 8-foot sign in his warehouse or whatever. And I just cut it out for him. Just random ability.
cool.
Yeah, just it's just some extra side money or whatever. Not like I'm trying to pursue jobs to make signs or anything, but like if somebody wants me to cut one now, I can.
I'm sure people are curious, like how much would one of those cost? Yeah.
So I have a couple different versions. So like the powder coated one of these that holds like the Hans and everything. My goal basically was to have it like shipped to someone under $100. So usually it works out to a little less than that, but it's $75 plus shipping. So like wherever your shipping is. I do also have them uncoated. Like if you just wanted it bare metal and you want to paint it yourself or do some kind of whatever. Those are $55, so $20 less. Yeah, so the powder coating is kind of expensive, but it's really good. It's like really nice, durable. Like I have the metallic gold. I like the gold for me, and a nice black and like a metallic silver.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
So,
I assume what would you consider as your just default color?
gold.
Gold.
I like the gold. That's just what you can't really see it in here, but it has like a really nice metallic flake. This one's kind of beat up. I've put this through the ringer of a whole season, but this metallic flake in the sunlight is just
You
so
probably
nice.
can't even tell on camera.
Yeah,
if
no, I
there's
mean it's
anything
still
wrong with it. It
basically
looks
like there's a few
immaculate.
little edge wear spots and stuff just from hundreds of times freaking.
But like,
And a lot of this one was the first one that was powder coated.
Are
So
you
I've
worried
shown
about that?
What?
That it's almost too unbreakable.
Well, yeah, but to change that would have meant that I would have had to like intentionally make a weaker hanger.
I know, and
But
that's such a
like, I don't
that's
really
a weird,
care.
shitty question to ask too. But like,
I just thought like
I know that's a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
mean-
run out of clientele at some point.
the only
I
thing
would
is like
think.
if you have multiple suits or whatever, you might buy two. But yeah, you're right. It's probably a one person per.
There's
like
no
you don't really
repeat customer.
unless you
they just
wanted a
get
different
multiple
color
suits or
or
something.
and I can within reason I can put people's logos and stuff on it. That adds a lot of time, honestly.
Yeah,
Like, and
that's
I'm
extra.
trying to kind of just keep away from doing any stuff like that for like one-off stuff. Like make one with X logo. That's a lot of extra time because it probably won't fit in this little rectangle that's left over, and I probably have to
leave
make
it to marketing reasons
yeah,
to do
yeah,
stuff like
and I
that.
probably end
It's
up
not-
having to redesign, and that just like to do that CAD work and then to
let
make the
people
cut
beg
path.
for it in the comments.
Yeah. It's just a lot of work that you got to pay for, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my time is worth something, you know.
Yeah. That's cool though, and that's why I wanted to bring up like how much you spent on just a normal hanger, the heavy duty ones, because I wanted because just naturally when you hear the word hanger, you're gonna think of the shitty Walmart plastic ones, and like,
then you hear somebody say it's like
spent
$75
$50 on a hanger, like that's mind boggling. So I just so that the reference was already there for when you said the price for this, because I knew like something like this is gonna be expensive, and if you would have just said that, it would have gone right over people's heads.
Absolutely. And it
like,
still
fuck
may,
that
like,
shit.
a lot of people probably look at that as ridiculous. But, like, I think of it as, like, well, the suit is already expensive. The Hans is already expensive. Everything's already expensive. It's really not that much to, like, have it all nicely taken care of together forever.
When you get into spending thousands of dollars on a suit, I'd want to keep up with it.
Well, what makes it worth it for
Most
me
I would ever spend on a uniform.
is this. Like having my arm restraints clipped to something where my suit's always going to be. I've forgotten these things.
Oh, I'm sure.
And when I still had window glass in my car, that's okay. You can roll up the windows and you can get away with not having arm restraints. But I don't have window glass now. I can't forget these or I can't drive. So for a squirrel brain like me, if I know I have this hanger, I know I have all of my safety gear. Mine is most of the time I keep my helmet in the helmet bag. I just do that.
It's better that way.
Yeah, you know, people have liked clipping one on here with one of those helmet hanger things, but I just don't want my face shield to get visible. Those scratch up really easy.
Yeah. Maybe if you have like a lightweight case that has a
you
hook
can put
that
the
you
helmet
hang
bag on it,
you know,
and then run the strap through it. It's just for me. I just like to stick my helmet bag or my helmet in the helmet bag because I keep my in-ear communication things plugged in and everything. Like I just stuff it all in the helmet, throw it in the back.
Better.
And from hanging off that, you'd have it all dangling, whatever. but no, that's just having all of my other safety gear that I possibly have to be legal in one spot is really nice for me because it's just like one less thing. And I just kind of leave it in the trailer closet now and just, you know, other than when I'm cleaning something or whatever. But
it's one of those what did you automating it or
just, you know, it's one of those
it makes
daily
just
daily convenience things that it's one of those. It's a perfect example of you probably wouldn't buy one of these during a season that you were trying to streamline. But if you're trying to have just a relax, you know, if you're just adding some nice things to your trailer to have a good season, then you'd get something like that. But
I mean, it could probably be a part of the whole streamline thing too. I could see it being worth it.
Yeah.
Just because of how much, like you just said, how many times you've forgotten those.
Yeah, if you're like that.
That could fuck you over.
Yeah.
You
If
have
you're
to
like
go
me
up to a booth and spend a couple $100 on them when you could have just bought $100 hanger, had everything all in one
if they're
spot
there,
all the time.
that for me, the time that I forgot them was we were literally in the middle of absolute nowhere. There was nowhere. I looked online. I looked for Amazon because it was still practice and qualify day, and then the next day was going to be a competition. So I tried to next day something on Amazon. You know, I was just like, oh my God, please. I just ended up driving with the windows up. And like that to me is hard because the windows that were in the car were really tinted. And I couldn't see anything.
Fuck.
It was not, and my face shield's tinted too because out the windshield is really bright.
You can't even leave them like a little crack.
No, you gotta have them up.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that was a bad day. That taught me a very important lesson. But that was when I started carrying the prototype, the nylon carbon fiber version of this hanger. I started carrying it after that event, and that was like my big motivator, like finish that design and get something so I could actually use it myself. And that's when I realized like, well, this carbon fiber thing is really strong. It would hold about like 75 pounds, but I wanted it to be like so strong you can't break it kind of thing. So that's why it became metal. But here we are. So if anybody wants one, shoot me a message on Instagram. They're pretty cool, really. Like I know you think like it's a hanger or whatever, but it's just really nice to have. Like it's a really nice thing to have.
Or if you can't, obviously I understand some times are tough. If you can't physically buy one yet, or you're waiting for whatever, you know, budget reasons, leave a comment. Like let them know if it's even a good idea.
Yeah, just tell me what you think about it.
Would you change it in any way or whatever?
Yeah, I have a patent pending on it, so like it's my design. You know, nobody can steal it from me. once you do all the initial applications and stuff, it's like patent pending, and then you got to wait for like the
Yeah.
whatever. But so I do have like the patent pending protection. So that's the only reason. This is the first time I've actually like publicly talked about it, because it took a while.
cool.
Yeah, it even took a while to get that, and I was like, man, if this is a good idea, someone would steal it. You know, like the Hans company or whatever would be like, well, we're gonna make those, and they can probably undercut my price because they're a huge factory and whatever. But like, and I would
sell
like
them
to,
with the whole thing. You can buy it as all a package deal.
yeah, and if I can get to where I'm selling a ton of them, and I can somehow get volume to where I can get costs down and stuff, and be buying like 30 or 40 sheets of metal at a time instead of like one or two, that that makes a big difference. But
Having somebody else make them.
yeah, or that too. But I'm so weird about like letting go of control of things like that.
I am too, but
Like,
it's
I just
when you. I'll say it. I mean, Josh, you're the best. My editor.
yeah.
I can edit these podcasts myself, but if I have someone that's essentially just like my second brain, to do it for me, I swear to God, it's the best fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you want. Cool.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'm in.
Hey, if we get there one of these days, that'd be great. But for right now, I'm gonna be zapping them out at home on my powder coat. On my plasma table.
We're still working within
powder
reason.
coat, yeah.
Okay? I'm not gloating or anything. That's not. I'm far from that.
But it's definitely correct. Like delegating tasks like that, where you free up time to do other things and then therefore are bringing down costs. There's a lot of reasons where that's a good idea. But for right now, I'm just gonna be doing it all myself. But,
Well, good. Cool. I like it. Yep. Speaking again on the program, I know we did East 10, and what other like bigger events were there this year?
Well, there wasn't really any other big events other than the Pro-Am this year. That was like part of the whole Streamline thing. It's just like, don't waste money going to basically fun days. Like, there's good seat time to be had at some fun days, but a lot of time you can't get really any good like tandem battle practice or anything like that. So it just at the point now where the cars are so expensive to run, I couldn't make sense to go to the Polecat day and just burn 30 tires just for fun, kind of.
If my car didn't break the first day, I would have ran out of tires the first day.
So I just made the decision early on in the season to where I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this Pro-Am done, because it ended fairly early in the year, and I knew for sure like I can.
It was only 2 rounds, wasn't it?
It was 4.
It was 4.
Yeah.
Sure. Is it moving?
It's always
to
4. It's always 4. 4 rounds. Yeah.
Okay. Which one am I thinking of? That's just 2.
I think there's a
Isn't
few
there
like
one?
there's a few different like little Formula Drift shootout things where it's like a single, like a one-off event, I think, and it's like where in
maybe
areas
that's what
that
I'm
don't
thinking
have
about
like
then.
true licensing series, I think they do like shootout weekends or something like that, where like they give away one license or something like that. But anyway, I don't really know what I was saying about that now, other than the 4 rounds.
Well, how that was like the only
Right.
the only real events you did.
Yeah, that was my focus, and that was just where I wanted to put all of my eggs in that Formula Drift Pro-Am basket. So that, because all I still want really is a pro spec license. We didn't do it again this year, but 5th place.
Well, let me
whatever.
ask you this then, because I've had this get brought up on multiple podcasts, referring to East 10. Now, obviously, love East 10, like love the guys that run it, blah blah blah. But I do think it doesn't properly prepare drivers for FD, pro spec, all of that.
I don't know.
Given that it is parking lot events, like it's
You say
driving
that.
around cones.
It's
and,
only
like,
been. It's only
that's
been.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
bringing it up to you, because like I don't drive competition.
Yeah.
I don't care to, and it's not my thing. So I don't really know. I'm just going off of what I hear.
Yeah. The overall, I think that from the events that I've been involved with, I think East 10 probably does one of the best jobs of preparing people for pro spec in certain areas. Things like safety and tech stuff.
Are you saying in the whole country?
Well, not
'Cause I
maybe
would
not
definitely
maybe not
argue
in the whole
differ on
country,
that.
but you certainly can't discredit the work that Louis and Mo is always like the start line guy. He's one of the most vigilant on it. Like if someone car catches on fire or something, he's running off with a extinguisher before anybody else even knows about it, kind of thing.
Too. They've been around doing this shit
so
forever.
they do a really good job of preparing you for logistics of Formula Drift, load-in days and teching beforehand, and just general.
Isn't that all like common though?
It is
That's
common,
just
but
stuff you naturally learn.
I think that focusing on teaching people why something is wrong maybe is something that they do a good job of, and really working to help someone maybe that isn't quite ready to try to get there, and to bring their team. They do a good job of a lot of these things, but bringing your team as a prepared unit with a professional feel and look. They really do a good job of teaching people that otherwise don't necessarily. That's not even a thought to some people. A lot of people don't. Some people just have the brain of a driver, and they don't really have necessarily the skills of managing a team as well, or just even if you haven't been exposed or before, and maybe it's your first year in Pro-Am, and there's all these things you just don't know is going to happen. They are great guys for that. There is a lot of limitations, in my opinion, on that series in the way that it's handled on the spectator side of things, on the marketing side of things. They could have such a different atmosphere if it was treated a little differently.
That's a lot of what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because
it is. It's
you're
just
not
so
going to get the spectation and the marketing
it's
out
just
of a
driver
parking lot event.
focused, and in a way, like I appreciate that because they remove all the fluff, and you don't have anything to deal with but the competition. And so, like, there's definitely benefits to that from a driving standpoint.
I think it's so bad, though.
But it's not.
The drivers like that.
It's not good because it doesn't prepare people to like drive in front of a bunch of people. That's a really big
you
thing.
don't get the
like,
real pressure.
Like LS Fest is good for that. Any or the 50K series, any things where you have a lot of spectators.
Yeah.
That does change things. People don't realize how much it changes things when you know for sure that many people are watching what you're doing, and or at least it does for me. So in that aspect, you're right. It definitely it falls short in. There's almost never really anybody but the teams and their families and whatever in attendance. We have been to very good tracks though. It's definitely not always like a parking lot series. We've been to Jersey, we've been to Lanier. These tracks offer the ability. Like we copied the Irwindale layout at Lanier of riding the whole big wall. It's a very fast, very difficult track. Jersey, I hit my car into the wall 4 times. It's not a joke of a track at all. But like Bristol is a parking lot track. But if you actually look at like the aerial view or whatever, like the actual distances and the speeds and stuff, like it's a fast.
Yeah, the layout's still good.
It's a
I
really
don't doubt
fast
any
parking
of that.
lot.
Like as far
Yeah.
as the drivability and like prepping people for the driving style and what judges are looking for, like
What
they
I can
understand.
What
that
I can
part.
definitely say
It's
is
just
if
the
you
marketing help.
If
and,
you
like,
look at our
exposure.
past drivers though, like look at who has come out of East 10 and how they're doing in Pro Spec right now. It's pretty compelling. We have some really, really talented drivers that come through that program. I mean, Cole Richards, O'Sully, Connor O'Sullivan. Those 2 guys were like right at the top of Pro Spec, straight out of the gate.
It wasn't O'Sully doing. other
O'Sully's
ones too, though?
O'Sully's going to be in Pro next year, and just.
But he was doing other Pro-Ams
Yeah.
as well, right? Like, it was
I think
other
he
than
did
just
the
East
US
10.
Air program and a couple different ones, but I think he got his license at East 10. Yeah, he did.
I'm pretty sure.
But there's Dimitri Brutsky. There's several really heavy hitting drivers that have come from East 10 Drift, and I, in my opinion, will continue to, because like the cars that I see there are, on par with some of the nicest in the country, in my opinion. Just the level of car build, the level of, if you don't bring a pretty good sized weapon to that battle, you're not gonna come out very well. And that's what I dealt with for the first year and a half ish before the supercharger. Like being 200 horsepower down on everybody that's doing anything in the series, that's a big, like, it is not a joke of a series whatsoever. Like it is not. It's a very serious level of driver and car. But I think if there's a reputation for that series, it's probably not really that well earned if it's to say that they don't prepare drivers for Formula Drift Pro Spec. I think they do a good job of preparing drivers for Formula Drift Pro Spec, just not driving in front of people. Like remove that.
I would argue that that's probably one of the most important aspects.
It probably
of it,
is, but it's
you need to be, for one, already have the nature of being able to be in front of a crowd, but for 2, you're gonna have to get media trained in some capacity.
They actually
or have some
been
natural
doing
ability to be on camera.
They've been doing a pretty good job with the media side of things, even though it's just not as focused on as
But it's the environment's not the same.
No,
either
that's
way.
true.
So like they may be getting a little bit of work on like just talking to a
Yeah.
camera, but what happens when you got a crowd of 30 or 40 people
And then you get all
standing
weird.
behind you watching you
Yeah.
talk on camera?
Yeah.
That's totally different, dude.
That's true, and there's none of that there. There's definitely none of that there. You if you want that kind of experience, you got to go to like LS Fest or something else, or whatever.
Yeah.
Lake Erie Pro-Am does a good job with their, they do a live stream and they do some other things where it's giving the drivers some ability to have reach beyond just the people that are there. And I wish East 10 would maybe take a page out of that book and look into. And they've kind of said they were going to for a while, and just kind of never has come to fruition. I think running a series like that is so much harder than anybody really.
Yeah, they've got other things that they have to
it's just hard to make
prioritize.
it
I
even
totally
happen.
understand all that, too.
But there are other organizations that are doing it. It's just I can't fault anybody for that stuff though. Like I understand how difficult that it is for them to host all this stuff, and just for them to make it happen at all, to give us a venue, to have an opportunity to have a license, I'm happy with. So, but I really like the people like Louis and Mo, specifically Mo, like Mo Mansour. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but Motive Fabrication, I think, is his Instagram. He has just been such an encouraging force in my drifting career, if you will, from the beginning, from the start line. Having somebody like that really cares about the drivers and treats them like friends and family and whatever, that kind of thing goes so far, and that definitely is so strong within the East 10 community. Like everybody is so helpful and willing, and the judges, Greg Bussell of Cooler Works has been the style judge for the last several years, and he is an open book. Oh yeah, he's such a fun guy, man. What a guy! Love him to death, really do. We had a great time at PRI, just with little random running into each other and just funny stuff. But
if I could have 1 week of the energy that he has, I could not imagine how much shit I would get
he's always
done.
just so pumped.
Holy fuck, dude. If you ever get the opportunity to meet Greg, meet fucking Greg.
Yeah.
Go
He'll
say
make
hi.
your day better.
He's the best dude ever, man.
He'll make your day better for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, just the people. I guess it's just so hard for me to have anything bad to say about that series, because everyone. I just love
I'm not trying to get that out of you.
Yeah,
either.
no.
I never want to do that.
I do believe that there are some ways that it could be improved, but it just comes with the territory. There's always something you can do better.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because with like, say, Jason Farron, Luke Fink, all these guys coming into FD, some of them on petition, some of them licensed, whatever. It does seem that it is getting easier to get to that level. Do you think moving forward that it should be as easy as it's getting to gain a license, or do you think it should be more difficult like it used to be, where it was like you had to run a 6-7 event season and top 3 got a license and that's it?
I think
whatever it was.
That's an easy way to make people mad, no matter how you answer that question. But the way that I look at it as a driver is, I really do. I think when I watch Formula Drift Pro Spec, I do feel like I don't want to say most, a lot of the battles that I watch, I know for sure there are more solid battles happening at East 10 Drift Pro-Am. For sure, better driving.
I guarantee you majority of Pro-Ams around the country could say that.
That's probably the case. So I look at that as, well, there's probably needs to be a little bit higher barrier of entry. The other side of that coin for me, I want this sport to grow and to live forever, and the only way to do that is to get it on, in the mainstream media in some capacity, and to grow the amount of people. When you walk around and when you walk around and you talk about drifting and everyone knows what it is, that's when it's something that lives forever. And so by having these people that petition in, everyone that is on that list that has petitioned in, they have a really large following that they've amassed, and they have the ability to show the world of drifting to a lot of people. So for that reason, I really do like it. I really think that's great. And if they can cut it, if they can drive, then let them in.
Yeah.
It's great.
I
lose it a little bit.
And as far as Jason and Luke, like,
right, and it's not even anything about them specifically. Just anyone that petitions in. If you can drive and you can do good enough things, like if it's good enough for the sport by bringing you in, then sure. But I do think that, from the perspective of someone like me, that I've put in a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of money and a lot of things that I've really given up to try and continue doing this. And some of those people don't end up having to do those same things, which it's not. I don't look at really that as unfair. It's just it's a completely different path to arrive at the same end.
Yeah.
And
I would argue that they still probably
they
did
still
just
they
as
still
much
put
work.
the same
It was
amount
just
of
a
work, and it was different
path,
right,
a different avenue, or whatever you want to call it.
I just never have. I never have like felt the need to, I guess, preemptive. Like I didn't want to build a following necessarily for just me. If that, like, I think a lot of these people have built a following and then just happen to be able to use that to roll it in. Like, I don't know that their goal was necessarily from the beginning to be a Formula Drift driver. You know what I mean? Like that. That just sort of happened for me. Like that's all I want to do. Yeah. Like whatever else I have to do to get there. I have to make social media content and stuff for partnerships and stuff, but that's not where my heart is. And I think a lot of people run into that same problem. To be a effective partner for a sponsor or whatever is difficult, because you don't really want to do any of that stuff. You want to just be driving, but that's how you make it
to live without now.
Yeah. So you, and I think Chelsea DeNofa made a whole video about that. It's been a year or so ago, about like why it's so hard for a driver that really cares about driving to be pumping out content and stuff, because it's just it feels disingenuous. It feels like it's not who you really are, to a point. If you're posting like, I don't have anything going on that people need to see every day. I don't feel that way. Man, people probably disagree. They probably think it's cool stuff, whatever. That's the way that I perceive it. So it's like my own mental block of like, right. It's like, well, I'm, nobody cares that I changed my
Everyone's going to think that way, especially because that's not, if your priority is set on something else, you will never be able to cross that barrier.
Yeah.
And that's like with clients that I deal with on a regular basis. I have to tell them that like you're never going to be able to think that way.
Yeah.
Just delegate it.
Yeah.
Let someone else think that way for you.
Yeah.
And it just turns out better. So like if you essentially just had someone following you around all the time with a camera, I guarantee you'd have golden content. Yeah,
because
there's just funny and great shit that happens all the time that can't be captured.
Right. And I'm doing so much different, like making the stupid hangers and stuff with a plasma table. Like it's not really directly related to drifting, but it is. And it's like it would be. There's a gold mine of content in that. Like I've had so many mistakes and so many dumb things that happen and so many just funny things to the outside nobody will ever see, because it's not possible for me to be running a plasma table and filming. Like I have to have my eyes on that machine to make sure. Like so, there's just like little limitations like that where you say like somebody following me around, man, I would have weeks and months and days of the greatest content ever. I'd never know. I'd never run out. But just the nature of how I am, I'm always like in 100 different directions, and like. These days to slow down and actually record something, it feels like impossible. But that is one of my goals for this year, is since I'm going to be not really doing a streamlined season, if you will, I want to do everything kind of like back in full force. I really want to run all of the clutch kickers that I can run. I want to run all of Pro-Am, and in doing that, hopefully create, just by the nature of doing that stuff, I do have people following me around in video and stuff at those. So if there's enough of those, it's enough content for a really long time. Yep. And it's just like, I noticed that too, from doing less events. I just had so much less media to where if I, there was nothing to post.
Yeah, it's hard to fill.
Yeah, it's really hard to fill, and to just repost the same stuff. If you're not out driving and competing, you don't have new media of the car. And like, I just don't want to sit there and some people will post the same clip with a different caption or the same clip with a different music or something over and over and over. I'm just never going to do that. So I look forward to having, the guys at Wildberry Studios, Trenton and his wife, are just awesome. They're just great to deal with, really, really just care about their product, really go above and beyond to get really good, in-car media, out-of-car media, in driver interviews, everything you could ever possibly want to need. Yeah. And then, you can buy different packages with them where they pre-edit reels and whatever, and all of their work is fantastic. So when you're at the events that they're at, it's all really easy. You always have really good media, but it's very challenging otherwise. My wife is fantastic with a camera, and it's so hard for me though, now that she has sort of become such a fan of drifting. Like, you know, she was so far into all this world and just sort of kind of have slowly brought her into it since we met and got married and whatever. And that's just been what we've been doing for the last few years in the summertime is we are a drift track couple. You know, that's just what we do now.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me to try and pull her away from the enjoyment in the form of saying, hey, can you work for me now while we're at the track also? Like, she's already chefing and coordinating all of our lodging and stuff. I don't want to ask her to film.
Yeah,
She would
but,
be so
like,
good at it. I just don't want to
and-
ask her to do it.
Like, I'm not trying, no disrespect to
Yeah.
anyone, but like, as a wife, especially, I feel like she would really want to. I think you're not giving her enough
No, I
credit in
think
that
I
aspect.
really think
I think
she
she
really
would
wants to
enjoy
be
it.
able to enjoy just watching and stuff. Because
Really?
like she's a lot like I am when I'm driving. Like she wants everything that she films to be really perfect. Because like film and photography is what she does.
Okay, never mind. I can see that then.
So like she ends up so focused on
Yeah.
like
yeah.
making this perfect, like, and she has done a lot of shooting for me, and it's all fantastic, and I do wish that she was the one doing it all the time. You know, it makes everything great. But and I wouldn't even mind to like pay her to do it. It's just I want her to be able to enjoy with her time at the track. Like she gives up a lot to be there with me every time already, and if it's not, I think I've said this before on this podcast, but like if your spouse or your significant other or whatever, if you live together and you want to keep each other happy, things like that have to be a consideration of running a team.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like
Yeah, I get it.
my wife has a great time at the track. She loves everybody that we have there. She, you know, we have fun. It's never a drag. Like that's how you keep happy marriages, and so you can continue doing this stuff forever. You know, like come on, it matters. But yeah,
Obviously, that goes. There's gonna be different households. Like
yeah, there's
we
different.
get that too.
There's different
Not
strokes
saying
for
that.
different folks. I just want my wife to have a really good time at the track. She does so much for me before, during, and after. Like
Yeah.
when it's competition time, I just want to be able to go up to the stands with the rest of the family and friends and whatever, and just watch. You know, like get into it. She does. She's so into it. She's my biggest fan. I love it. But
You just be glad she actually wants to be there. Most guys don't have it.
right. See, and that's the thing.
Most
is like,
guys are getting bitched at for going to do what they love.
Since I do have that,
Wild.
it matters extra to me to like, you know,
Yeah.
thank you for
What do you need?
supporting me. What can I do for you, my love? Like, but
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very glad you've seen that you've kind of getting the hang of things as far as just running a program, like very well.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
really cool to see, especially from an outsider getting and them too getting to follow along the journey as well. with
yeah,
the-
it's
these
cool. It's like
podcasts.
it's
really
cool for
awesome.
me. I have like a my own little documentary of like.
Yeah.
I went back and looked at some of my first time here. But I guess it's been 3 or 4 days ago. And I watched like maybe half an hour of that episode again, and I was like, wow, man, things are different. You know,
Yeah.
like I look at things differently. I know a lot of different, like I know so much I did not know I mean, last year. I know a lot. Like I learned so much. That's one of my favorite things about drifting, just because of the personality that I have and the type of diving into things that I do. Like I learned so much because of drifting, whether it be how to run a plasma table or you know, weight distribution in a car or whatever. It's just new information, and I love it, and it keeps me fresh, keeps my brain working, keeps
Well,
goals coming.
I'll
you know?
say I appreciate it too, because it's been, for one, very beneficial for me as well, and for them, because like I could sit down with the smartest drifter on the planet, James Dean. We'll just go James Dean or Peter Visick or someone like that has a really good program, really good driver, all that stuff, and they could explain to me every single little detail of like what makes a program great. They're not gonna really understand that as much as he would expect someone to understand, because he's just in a different class of people.
Yeah, you have so
when you
much
have that
information.
long, like a dragged out form of being able to watch one specific person go through this, and this throughout so many years, and how the mindset changes and shifts, and how things like just make more sense as you go, and all that stuff. Like, if someone's looking to go the FD route, they could go back through every single episode that you've been in and see how everything's changed
and what not to
in
do.
a long format, and not just some 20-minute cut up vlog.
That's true.
Or anything like that too. So
That's true. I mean,
that's why I continuously bring you on as well.
thinking of it that way, like if I had me from all those episodes to watch
Exactly,
from the
that's what I'm
beginning,
saying.
like, man, I would be in such a different spot right now.
And I'm not fucking chasing that route.
Yeah.
But I know people need it.
Yeah, and
So
I
like
just want
it
to
gives
share
me
it.
that you give me that opportunity to share that aspect of the drifting world that I don't really give a shit about. As rude as that sounds, like
Well, hey, I tell you, it's something. If you don't, if your brain is not towards competition drifting, it takes all the fun out of it.
oh, 100%, yeah.
100% of the fun is gone once you get in comp mode. If you let it, if
Yeah.
you're, but to me, like I get it's the most rewarding. I actually don't even
I will
enjoy,
say, yeah,
I
I'm
don't even
sure
enjoy
it is the
driving as
most
much
rewarding.
anymore without it being a competition. It's really strange, but
That's
that
crazy.
flipped a lot for me. Because at first I really felt like, I still need to mix in, these fun days and whatever, and go drive with my boys and get, bang doors with friends and whatever. But I really want an objective now. I really
Yeah.
I want to be beaten or beat somebody. Like
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, no, it's been a really cool trajectory just of things naturally happening and learning along the way. And
Mhm.
I really, I say I wish I had me to learn from ahead of time. I would not trade any of it for the world. It's all been such a rewarding thing from start to finish. Even the worst days now I can have really positive memories about, because like I'm just surrounded by all these people that all of the crew that works with me, and wife and family, and everyone is united for my dream, really.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool when you think about it that way, that all these people are so nice and giving of their time and whatever to this common goal. And I think there's just nothing else I could possibly have done with that amount of time, even though it took me this long to sort of figure things out. I couldn't have
Yeah.
done anything better with that time that I would have enjoyed more, and it wouldn't have been as rewarding if I just got into the game knowing everything. And I've really enjoyed all the people that I've met along the way that have been responsible for me knowing half of the stuff that I know now about running a competition drifting program.
Right.
And or even just car setup and stuff, like being able now, like when I first got into this, or even when I first started driving the vet and stuff, the idea of having like Josiah from FDF like just as a close enough friend that I can just
Yeah.
shoot a message, hey, what do I do about this, and just get an answer. Like that kind of thing comes with time, because someone like him, especially, like his time is very valuable. And so to have spent this kind of time like establishing myself as like, okay, I am going to be, I'm a serious entity in this world, like
Right.
I'm not just, if I ask you a question, it's not a waste of your time to answer it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not because I'm going to do nothing with it. So now having that sort of, not really reputation, but like I've been enough places, I've done enough events, I've talked to enough people where like generally I'm known enough
Yeah,
to
you
where
built
like,
rapport.
right, like it's just networking, it's just establishing rapport with people, and like having that now, that's something I don't think you can accelerate. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you
Yeah.
can. I don't think you can watch videos and get past that point, because like when you go to PRI, and I'm not going to blow up the spot. I'm not going to say where everybody goes, because I don't want people to like show up there whenever. But there's this bar in Indianapolis that like everyone
I
that's
think
a,
everyone knows.
yeah, but probably not like that doesn't go to PRI. Like it would just be like, I don't want like
Okay, yeah.
like 45
whatever.
extra people to show up, and it's already, we can't get in because the fire marshal code or whatever. But
Yeah.
there's like this bar at the performance racing industry convention that everyone that's associated with Formula Drift, you and I saw each other there, even though you disappeared. And but like you can't,
Wild night.
yeah,
Sorry.
you can't go to that kind of thing and meet all these people and whatever. You can't get any of that from watching a video, no matter how many videos you learn or watch, and no matter what you learn. Having those types of conversations and having people remember who you are matters a lot. And like it's not to say like it only matters who you know, whatever, like, but you do get more stuff out of anything by
Yeah.
people knowing,
And
like,
I'll correct you on that one. Not stuff, but just value in general.
that's what I mean. I don't
Personal
mean
value
like,
in
I
general.
don't mean like objects, like
Yeah,
you get
I
actual
know people
things.
take it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
That's
you're
why I
probably
cleared
right.
that
Like
up.
you don't get like free stuff. I just mean you extract more value out of every situation when you provide more value, and you only do that by having someone have an idea of who you are. Knowing that you're,
The saying "knowledge is power" is not just reading a fucking book and learning something. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah. There's
the
a
shit you can learn from just having a, as blunt as you want to say, a drunk conversation with someone is pretty wild.
there's amazing things that, like, and I was talking about this with somebody else that we kind of share, ideas when it comes to like running a program and
Yeah.
talking to potential partners and stuff. And it was like, it is amazing what kind of conversations you can have at a place like the bar during PRI. You just have to always make sure that you like, restrain yourself to where you're not like this out of control guy, or you miss all that opportunity. And a lot of people really don't think about that. They'll go to conventions and stuff and just get wasted. And
there's some people
they don't
that
realize
it's like-
what they've done to themselves. Like
Yeah.
that timeline from 9 p.m. to like 1 when everybody kind of finally starts leaving, that's when you get stuff out of the show. That's the value from the show, not the actual walking around the booths. Like it's
the show's pretty.
yeah. Walking around the booths, you're just walking around the booths, exchanging business cards, but you actually get to know somebody outside of that, But
I literally, for me, I found it more beneficial to just kind of use the time at PRI to set up meetings.
Yeah.
If you haven't already pre-set them up.
yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Or if you're, there's a few that I talked to this year that I had no prior contact with. I had no.
Yeah, there's always those too.
There's it's a good option to just, you have somewhere you can just walk up to these people and talk to them, and it's not weird because that's what they're there for. But just the networking, the interpersonal relationship side of things in any industry, in anything that you're trying to go farther in, you're always going to go farther if you have friends. If people in general know you and like you and know like
Mentors.
don't hate to see you coming, like, and you only establish that by just getting to know people, talking to them.
Distinguish friends from mentors.
Right.
Aspect.
Friends from mentors is a very big distinguishing thing, but a lot of times if you have a mentor long enough, they become a friend.
Yeah.
Like realistically.
Well, yeah.
So,
but it's like the whole concept of like, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future type deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want your future to be more successful, you have not just friends that are more successful, but mentors that are successful that can teach you things along the way, blah, blah, blah. If you surround yourself with bums, you'll always be one.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that not a lot of people learn in time,
Yeah.
You learn that a little too late in life sometimes, and things happen. But no, you're exactly right. That's who you surround yourself with, and when it comes to where you're learning this information and stuff, because you can go way off left field on the wrong path if you don't kind of.
Very fucking true, man.
Yep.
Well, other than monetary stuff, what would be something that a company could help you and it be extremely beneficial for this year? Was that one thing?
Yeah, no, that's easy. There's a lot of things that are not monetary that add up to being a good value. Like product itself. Obviously product has a monetary value associated with it, but usually it's a little bit easier when you're trying to negotiate a partnership to go for product as opposed to actual finances. Like it's like,
well, yeah, no, I know that, and I know they all know that, but for you specifically,
for me specifically,
for your program, for your car, for whatever.
I mean, I'm really trying to get some help with lubricants and fluids right now.
Okay.
Like I've all of my oil, power steering fluid, brake fluid, gear oil, everything has always been out of pocket, and I've been working towards getting some help with that for a little while, and I think I may finally have it figured out. But that it works out to be actually a pretty big expense, because I'm changing the oil every time, changing the diff every time, I'm changing the trans every time. So there's 10 quarts of oil, not cheap oil. There's 3.8 or something like that. Call it 4 quarts of gear oil in the quick change. Only 1 in the GSR, which is, it hurts my brain every time to put 1 quart of oil in that thing. But it's that's what, 4, 5, 15 quarts of lubricant every time I take the car to the track. And then, brake fluid, power steering fluid, whatever. Just fluids and lubricants is really like something I'd like some help with this year. I think I got it figured out. We'll see. Other than that, like things that are beneficial to your program that are not necessarily monetary value can be partnering with companies that maybe you're not going to get as much out of the direct partnership, but if you're a part of their social media channels, your exposure automatically will go up, where it's almost like kind of like reverse, where instead of where you've brought this big following to this company, they have a pretty good sized following, and having your presence on their stuff is actually beneficial, because that's going to grow your following, and You know,
Don't lean on that for too long.
no, you can't. You certainly can't rely on that. But there are all these little facets where it's like it's not monetary help, but it is help
Yeah,
to your
yeah.
program that you can kind of seek out in the right partnerships in the right area. You know, certain companies have needs that are completely outside of the drifting world. Also, like you can get
That is true.
you can get things like things for the truck and trailer that are powering and hauling your program. I'm working on getting some diesel truck products from. I probably shouldn't mention that yet because it's not final.
You want to cut that?
Yeah, no, we can mention it. I just won't. I don't think I should say the name of the company. Yeah,
don't go in depth.
but they make and distribute pretty much everything you could possibly need for your diesel truck that's pulling your trailer. And
Sick.
and so like that's a pretty
cool.
good size expense. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm changing my transmission filter, which is a spin-on filter and a pop-on filter inside the pan every like however many thousand miles. I'm doing it more because I'm always pulling trailer.
Yep.
Changing diff fluid in the truck. You know, diesel exhaust fluid. The fuel filters only last. The 2 fuel filters for the high pressure fuel system only last like 5,000 or 6,000 miles, and just kind of it's just all this stuff with a diesel that if you have an emissions compliant diesel, which I of course am going to keep all of my emissions compliant equipment on that truck forever. EPA.
Yeah.
Definitely not doing anything about that in the near future. But
good thing we live in
while,
Tennessee.
well, it doesn't matter where you live in the United States anymore. You can't delete anything legally. Like you can't.
Oh,
delete,
it's like that now.
Yeah, you can't delete any diesel stuff in the United States. EPA
That shows
will
you I haven't owned a diesel truck. So.
really do some things to you if you. But there's there's stuff that can be done anyway. Yeah. So
Let's not go down that legal road.
So but anyway, like that's just one of those things. Like if you really think about what all goes into your program, there's a lot of things that are not just the car.
Yeah.
You know, you have to keep the truck maintained to actually pull the trailer, and you have to keep the trailer maintained to get down the road, and all these little things that you can get help with from outside companies that are not. It's not giving money to the program, but it is saving a lot of money for the program. That's that's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's in most cases, like I've already said, it's so much easier to get that kind of thing than to get somebody to just write you a check. Like, I've now figured out both. I've done both, and like it's just a little different conversation. You know, it's a very different level of trust that has to be there, especially if you're just getting discretionary funds. You know, get a check at the beginning of the year, use it however you want to. Give us this, basically. Like that takes trust, and you don't get that on the first conversation usually. You don't get that without networking, and you don't get that without, no matter. It just this kind of stuff is like built upon knowledge. You can't have your first partnership be someone write you a $25,000-$30,000 check. That's not going to happen. You have to learn how to negotiate things and actually have that kind of conversation with the ones that are not giving money first. True. Usually, I think. I don't know. Everything's a stepping stone. You just
Everyone's gonna have their own time span of how all that stuff works its way out and how you figure it out.
And that's one of those things.
And you
like,
never quite will.
Some people will never, and you can always hire a motorsports marketing agent. They do exist.
Yeah, that is a thing.
If you just can't wrap your head around the business side of the sport, and you are a good enough driver where it makes sense, you can totally have someone else do that stuff for you. You can have someone else send in your proposal decks and everything on your behalf, and you could make the argument that maybe even adds some legitimacy to what you're doing if your agent is doing it for you, if it's a well-known motorsport agent. But at the same time, if you look on Facebook, there's probably like 50 different motorsports marketing agents that have zero real portfolio of who they've represented and what they've actually accomplished. But if you really did have to, you can pay someone to get you some stuff. And I think that's a terrible way to go. I think you should probably
unless you are literally running out of the time to do said things.
If you get enough partnerships to where like you just need help managing the deliverables and stuff, like it totally makes sense to have that motorsport agent. But for me, still that's nowhere even. It's not even a consideration. But but that's only because I'm kind of trying to over time put in the time to learn it enough myself where I can kind of, that's another one of those things I can do by myself and not have to pay somebody for and not have to add budget for and whatever. But I'm sure one of these days, I mean, I plan to stick with this game forever unless I literally like am physically forced to stop driving somehow, so at some point I'm sure that I may be sitting here with my marketing agent one day. That'd be cool. Who knows? But but that'll be like way further on to where like, pro, I don't think there's any reason to do that before pro. I don't think
even most of your pro season.
It just depends on the size of the partnerships and how much is really taking place. Like, if you're on RTR with all these, Pennzoil and Ford Performance and whatever, you probably got to have somebody help you with all that.
Yeah.
But for me,
I mean, I would even think like just being at the scale of Nate Hamilton and 144.
yeah, definitely.
Like,
Definitely.
Obviously that 144 is a lot bigger than people really think.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, he's got separate warehouse for,
Yeah.
like LZ's doing Zoomy deals and
Yeah.
stuff. So like he's pumping product.
Oh, yeah.
But like, he has someone that helps with that. I don't know if it's like, let me backpedal on that. He has someone that helps communicate for him to, people that work with 144, not necessarily pitching his deck or whatever for him. He's really good at that himself. He doesn't need anyone to do that.
Yeah.
But as far as managing the back end, I'm sure it's a lot of that stuff.
Right. And that's kind of the only thing I think I would ever really do. Is
it would be amazing to have, but
I'm just so nowhere near that.
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense to even really like discuss it for my program. Like it just doesn't. I can manage all that stuff myself, and I do a pretty decent job of talking to people and whatever, and all on my own. Just the nature of what I've always done for work, it just promotes.
True.
I can just talk to people. That's fine, and I can negotiate deals. That's easy. Like that's stuff that I actually know really well.
Yeah.
It's harder for me to learn. Believe it or not, it's actually harder for me to learn the mechanical side of things than it is the business side of things, because it just like the business side of things, it's the same as any other business, just in drifting.
True.
The way you approach any type of partnership or any sort of agreement is always a mutual understanding and always a mutual benefit, and always just so knowing how to arrive at that type of conclusion takes away most of the guesswork. But I have to spend a lot of time learning, okay, well, how do I do this suspension math, or how do
Josiah, help.
Yeah, right. Like, help. But like when it comes to actually like talking about and negotiating deals and stuff, that's the one thing like that I am actually understand well enough where other people ask me for help. Whereas a lot of the things I ask other people for help. Yeah. So it's like,
I get those questions too. And I'm still like, bro, I'm still figuring it out, man. Every person that asks me, I'm like, look, listen, I will answer whatever question you have, but you're going to understand before I answer any of the questions, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to make that very clear. It seems to be working okay.
Yeah, this is just what I've done.
But I don't know. I am not your advisor.
Yeah.
And for clarification of podcast legal reasons or anything like that, we are not advisors. Do not take our advice on any of this shit. If you do, that's on you.
No, except for my advice to not drive a BMW because they're boring cars. I'm just kidding.
Listen,
I'm just kidding.
All of it.
Everyone's gonna hate me for that one. No, I just think that there's most of everything comes back to just the general ability to network and talk and whatever.
Right.
And it's just that's really the important thing. And if you look back at, I'd say probably my past episodes, probably most of what I've ever mentioned about any sort of partnership or sponsor help or whatever has mostly to do with talking to people, being just being involved in things enough to where like your name's just around, you're not you're not just coming out of nowhere and asking for stuff, and just kind of remaining within your not going for a $200,000 deal in Pro-Am, there's like staying within where your actual ROI is. Like, be reasonable about what you're asking for.
And if you are and it makes sense, show me.
Yeah, seriously.
I'd be curious to see how that works.
But the only way you do that is by
ridiculous.
Being someone that has the size of following that just petitions into Prospect.
Okay, true.
And like so like that's
Pro-Am would honestly be a waste.
Right. And for that reason, that's why I still, going back to that a little bit, I still understand and agree with that happening.
Yeah.
To a point, as long as everybody can drive. That's my own thing. Like if you, I think there should just be like and I know there is, but I think there should be a much higher minimum points requirement. Like you lose your license if you don't do X in the season.
I could agree with that.
Because I think that would get rid of a lot of the, people that maybe shouldn't be there. If you have 0 points for the whole season and you don't qualify in the top 32,
that
then you
might be coming into.
There's already a rule on minimum points. If you don't get X, then you lose your license or you get put on probation or something like that. But I just think that if that was raised just a little bit, where like, if you don't make I don't even know what the right qualification. Like if you don't make it past top 30, like you qualify into top 32, but you never make it out all year.
Yeah.
That's probably should go back to pro am. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Or
But
pro spec.
I think that
Wait, are you talking about pro
if you had
one?
a if you had a pro spec license and
Oh,
you
okay,
didn't
pro spec,
and you
okay,
didn't
okay,
maintain, if you never made it out of top 32, you probably should do another year in pro am. I think.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I feel like that's reasonable, and I don't know.
I'd agree.
But that's another one of those things. Like everything you say, somebody can disagree with, and somebody has another point or whatever. And I would be willing to listen to anything on that discussion. But
Yeah.
I think largely, like all it does is good for the sport when people petition in. So whatever, leave it alone.
True. Absolutely. Well, let's put a cherry on top with all of that topic. What is just your best piece of advice for anyone getting into drifting this year?
Best piece of advice getting into drifting. I've given similar advice the last couple times. I think that I said that I answered that question. I don't want to say the same thing again. I think just maintaining a good handle on what your real goals are. That's what got me through my streamlined season. I knew my real goal is to obtain a pro spec license. After that, obtain a pro license, be in the top level of competition drifting that I can possibly make it to. So that's what led me to make all the decisions to realize, okay, I need to scale back this season to be able to make those dates, because I realized that's my primary goal this year, is to still do what I'm trying to do and try to get my pro spec license. Even if I get to go drive nothing else the rest of the year, that's my goal. And you can apply that to anything in the sport. If you're set on, I got to build this new car, like is that what's going to help you achieve your goal, or is it the seat time, or is it the learning how to do your weight distribution? Maybe you've already got all the power and everything, and your car's just slow because it's set up like a pickup truck, like mine was. Like there's so much you can do with that. Like just keep a really good handle on what your real goal is, instead of letting everybody make you feel like you have to buy a driving sim, or make you feel like you have to have this angle kit or whatever. It just
You should have FDF.
You should have FDF, but if your real goal is not top level competition drifting, you'd probably buy the Mini Mantis, not the Billet Pro kit.
Yeah,
that would be a really good way to keep your eyes on the goal and save yourself thousands of money.
Absolutely.
But if your main goal is to drive in the highest level, you can't not buy the best because everybody else is.
Yeah, there's no cheaping out.
Right. Just everybody else. That's the one thing I don't really love with the way that drifting has gone, is like Pro-Am and Pro Spec were always sort of, I think Pro-Am really has always been kind of meant to be the grassroots attainable version, which it's not anymore. Like, because the people that are winning,
cars 800 horsepower.
Right. Well, the people that are winning are generally, and there's, man, that'll start some arguments. Oh, you only win with the best car. Like, that's not true. But if at a point there's a wall where you can't really,
good advantage.
Yeah, there's a good advantage,
no
and
denying.
certain tracks it becomes more apparent than others. If it's a big fast track, your 300 horsepower guys are dead. There's just you've been left before you even made it to the initiation. So there's a lot to be said for that. I think it would be cool if there was another like middle ground between like literal grassroots competition and shootout events, and then up to like the Pro-Am level. That there's no stepping stone there, but it just comes with the territory. Everybody wants the latest and greatest, and technology advances. It's like just everybody wants to buy the newest iPhone. Everybody buys the newest freaking whatever.
Well, the past 5 years we've seen some crazy changes, and I'm sure in the next 5 we'll see some insane changes. So
I look forward to it.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But with that, if you could speak to the entire world, what would your one message be?
If I could speak to the entire world, it's probably a really cliche thing to say, but just genuinely sticking with something, like whether you're good at it in the front end, or even if you don't ever end up good at it. If you stick with something and you put repetitive time and effort and consistent time and effort into something, it's such a rewarding thing. And I think if everyone could find something, whatever it is, it's probably, it may not be drifting. It may be crocheting. I don't know. Like it can be anything.
Hey, we don't float your boat, dog. I don't know.
I talked to a lot of people about this, because everybody that doesn't know anything about motorsports, everybody that has never and probably will never even sit behind the wheel of a race car, they're always like, wow, like that's so cool that you have like this thing that you do. Like I wish I had like a thing that I do. Like I just go to work and go home. Yeah, like why don't you? Like just find whatever it is that you want to put that time into that isn't your job.
Yeah.
Maybe it can become your job if it turns out that way. That's how it was meant to be anyway. But like just find the thing that you really like and just freaking do it. Like everybody has an excuse to not try it or not whatever or whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. It'll make you a better person. It really will. Like in so many different ways, it'll make you a better person at your work because you actually have the focus and the willingness to do that job so that you have the funds and the time to go and do what you really love, or it'll make you a
purpose.
Right. It'll make you a better spouse because you have an outlet for your energy that, you're not sitting there bickering with your wife because you feel like you don't have a purpose. Like there's like all these things that you hear about, like, that can just literally be solved by creating your own purpose.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's like such an important thing in my life is just, I always remind myself, like, I want to be a race car driver. Like, I want to do whatever I got to do to go drive this thing. So, and that keeps me on track when I'm having my worst day at work or when, like when things
life sucks either way, man.
Yeah.
Which path of suckiness
do you want it
put up with?
Do you want it to suck and be bored all the time, or do you want it to suck and have like something else to do
30-40% of the time? It's the best time of your life.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, for drifting, it's probably like 98% and 2%. It's like 98% of the time. It's like really terrible and really sucks. But that 2%, boy, it's good.
Ooh, buddy.
It is a really good 2%.
Dopamine kills, dog.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad things are going from what seems to be well, and just keep climbing as it seems.
I'm not going to stop. I told you, somebody's going to literally have to, like, I'm going to have to be old and physically unable to crawl in the car, or have my foot cut off or something by eaten by a shark. I don't know. Like it just, I'm going to be driving forever is in any capacity that I can, but I will keep doing my best to always do my best and to grow my program and my own ability and try to share it with people, because all it does is help.
Absolutely.
Grow the sport.
Even if it's just one person,
Yep.
it helps. So, all right. Well, cool, man. You want to plug yourself, your accounts, anything like that?
You can find me over at Cloud Motorsports on Instagram and YouTube, at Cloud Motorsports, really on any, I guess, social platform there is. I'm the same thing on everything. But I'm really just most active on Instagram these days. Like it's hard to...
most beneficial.
Yeah, it's the most beneficial. And it's just hard to make the content look good when you're shooting it for vertical versus shooting it for horizontal and trying to like meld the
Debatable.
two.
Debatable.
I'm really like bougie with like cinematic rules and like shutter angles and all this stuff. So like when I start filming it and then you start cropping and losing quality and whatever. Anyway,
if you take any advice as far as tracing the content route, how much of your creativity are you willing to give up for views? Just think about that.
Whew, man. We should have talked more about that. That's an interesting concept.
Oh, I could. Let's not do that,
man. All right, yeah. Well, I'm not willing.
I could bitch about videographers all fucking day, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. That if I could cross that bridge a little better, I'd probably do a lot better on social media. If I could get past the,
there's so many times where I want to make a shot so fucking good and crisp, but I gotta just shut the fuck up and press record.
Yeah, no, that's I'm bad about that, but I'm bad about that with everything. Everything's got to be just so.
But some people just have that.
Yep.
But well,
thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been fun.
Sick, dude.
Hope to be
Absolutely.
back.
You're welcome to any time, of course.
Yeah, I'll be back again.
Solid. Well, of course, hit the subscribe button, bell notification while you're at it, so you never miss an episode. And I wanted to say this: if you're still here watching, you are the people that I do all of this for, anyways. I don't. Like I've mentioned, I don't really make a dime off of this. This doesn't pay me. Every dime that I make from this gets spent right back into putting more episodes out for you guys, whether it's travel cost or keeping the lights on, anything like that. So for one, I want to say I really appreciate you guys for everything, sticking around for this many years so far. I look forward to all the years to come. And I want to leave you with this to start off your 2025 year. If whatever dream or business or whatever the fuck has been living in the back of your head for however long, I challenge you this year, tackle it, start it, do something with it. It will benefit you more than you know, even though it will probably suck more than anything in your entire life. Just no matter what dream or business or anything it is, nothing's going to be profitable or great within the first 2 years. I guarantee it.
No.
So
And nothing
take
happens
that
unless
with
you
you.
start it.
Like, just start it. There's millions of people out there that have dreams that they don't even think are fathomable, and they are. You can make a job out of anything now. Just do it, please. You're the only people that like actually watch, so I wanted to keep that at the end. Nobody in the beginning got that, so thank you guys. I'll leave that. That's all I gotta say. Thank you so much. I will see you each and every Sunday for a brand new episode. Thanks.
See you soon.
Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings.